from the frigid armpit of America, this is the Drunken Peasants Podcast with Ben and TJ, bringing you opinions of the news from an altered perspective.
Say, man, you got a joint? No, not on me, man. It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
And now, here are your hosts, Ben and TJ.
Our intro makes Matthew McConaughey sound like the coolest fucking person ever.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty much the only movie
I think that's
I like
actually the best delivery of a line of dialogue that I've ever heard.
Are you serious?
From like any actor.
You're gonna put that much weight on it, like
yeah, because I mean, like, I never would have said that before, but after hearing it week after week and it just still holding up, like, and still being just as cool every time I hear it, I'm like, God damn, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the only movie I really liked McConaughey in.
I liked him in that and Killer Joe.
Killer Joe.
That was kind of a weird
That was
indie
a fucking
movie.
weird movie, dude. That was so fucking weird, especially at the end, like where they grab.
Hey, spoilers.
Fuck that.
Someone might not have seen it.
Well, too bad. They fucking grab
Don't
him.
do it, Scotty.
Anyway,
They grab him
welcome
and like
to the
beat him to
Drunken
death
Peasants
with like
podcast.
fucking cans of like beans and shit. I'm not even exaggerating. Though they also shoot him too.
Well, anyone who didn't want that ruined could have just covered their ears by now. So what are we starting with today? I think we have some Pan stories to start with.
Lots of Pan stories.
Pan is our slang for the marijuana here on this show.
Yeah, just in case you
Smoke pan every day.
Just in case you're a noob.
Yeah.
Fucking noobs.
Fucking noob.
Disgusting noob.
Fucking noob is camping behind a wall. I'm gonna fucking headshot him now.
I've already
not
seen
dead.
a few other people on YouTube make videos about this.
How
but-
dare you make how dare this be a more recent discovery for you, you fucking piece of shit. You inhuman slime. I knew about this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That is like the way of the internet. It's like if you've heard about something before someone else, you are a genius, and they are the fucking lowly.
Why is it so hipster like that?
One time I tried to do a promotion for this thing called Explosum, this YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And it's from the creators of the webcomic Cyanide and Happiness, which is a hugely popular webcomic.
And is awesome.
So I did that, and then several people were like, TJ, I already know about fucking cyanide and happiness. I didn't need you to tell me about it. It's like, this, okay, yeah, like every single thing must be a pissing contest.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Every single, no facet of life should be
That was the coolest
untouched.
promotion ever, though. Of all
by,
the promotions you got to do, promoting Cyanide Happiness and getting paid for it is pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah, cyanide and happiness.
Because it's actually legitimately funny and witty.
Yeah, especially when Rob is drawing and writing it. Anyway, on to the Pan.
Yeah. So, this is a clip from Nancy Grace. It's not her show. She was on someone else's show on CNN.
Man, you should have you need to give me at least 24 hours notice if I'm going to have to listen to Nancy Grace.
Sorry. Yeah.
I think I've seen TJ jerking off to pictures of Nancy Grace and like hitting himself at the same time, like twitching. Like, I don't like it, but I do.
No.
Yes, you do.
No.
You know you do.
So do you want to hear
Yeah, let's
Nancy
go.
Grace's stupid shit? It is. I do have to prepare you for it. It is some pretty retarded shit. But here we go.
Yeah, let's
Do you
go.
think legalizing pot for recreational use,
Pan.
do you think that's a good idea?
I think it's a horrible idea, and I speak not only after studying it and reading every shred of scientific and research data out there, but after seeing what it does to people on an everyday level.
How do you mean?
Having in court when I would prosecute drug cases. Now
Okay. Okay. So this commentary is coming from someone whose job it was, who made money at their job prosecuting people for crimes like marijuana-related crimes, possession, that sort of stuff. So you know, this is a biased perspective.
Nancy Grace, by the way, for those of you who don't know, anyone, I recommend anyone go and study her legal career, because it was rife with disgrace and accusations of, you know, total unethical behavior. So just check that out, because it's funny to watch her, because she's always like this morally righteous, indignant, like, how dare you, blah, 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 blah. I am Nancy Grace, the moral arbiter of all things in this cosmos.
I pretty
But
much,
in her own personal dealings, she's basically behaved like a scumbag, and that's funny.
I pretty much feel like she exploits a lot of the stuff that she talks about for her own personal gain.
Isn't that? But I mean, like, that's just the nature of the
Nancy
pundit,
Grace,
though.
Nancy
Sure.
Grace needs to fucking shut the fuck up and smoke a joint.
She's so outraged.
and
by
then
everything.
she needs to come back and think about the shit she's fucking said and done in her life. That's what she really
Exactly.
needs to do. Light up, Nancy Grace, and you'll feel a lot better
It
about
gets
yourself.
better though. It gets better. You'll hear it. Here we go.
Is okay? This video is a gay teenager.
Understand that a recreational amount in Colorado, remember there are only 2 states that
I
allow
just got that.
recreational sale or possession of marijuana, that being Colorado and Washington State, and in Washington State it has not been implemented yet. But what I would see is that people would drop out of work, they would become lethargic. I mean, come on, ask yourself,
Okay,
do you want
stop.
your cab driver to be high?
What I want to know, like, okay, you don't really see people breaking into, like, if someone breaks into a car for drug money, it's never for weed.
TJ, I want to do a really quick study right
So I
here.
mean, like, how do these people think that people who smoke weed afford the weed?
No,
It's because
TJ,
they have jobs.
It would only happen. People would only break into a car for that if there was like a
Crack.
mass quantity. No, if there was like mass quantity.
Yeah, like, okay, if you break in
No,
this
it's not
car, you
crack.
could
No,
fucking.
but TJ, I want to do a quick study. I just thought something she said was so funny. Okay, people that smoke weed don't work, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a poll right now. Who here in this room is stoned? Ben, are you stoned?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Okay, TJ, are you stoned?
It's possible. You know.
Okay, so the answer is yes for all 3 people, and we're doing a podcast right now, so let's just leave it at that. I mean, Ben does all this preparation, we all do all this preparation, and work and do other shit, and we all smoke weed.
And that's not
Or
even. This isn't.
potentially smoke weed, I should say.
This
I can't
isn't-
speak for them.
This isn't even our day jobs. This is like a side project. So I mean, it's not like we're up here totally failing. We have like 4,000 subscribers in like a month.
It hasn't even been a whole month. It's
Yeah,
been,
it's been less than a month.
What's 24 days.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, according to her, we would just that's not possible.
Yeah,
We should be comatose.
according to her, we
Yeah.
should be lying, you know, in a puddle somewhere, just like blah, 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 blah. Give me a blanket
And a Twinkie, please.
That's how I feel after binge drinking. I feel like
Yeah, you feel like you died after
Yeah.
you do a binge drink. You're like, oh fuck. You smoke a lot of weed, you just wake up like, wow, that was a cool day.
Sometimes you might have a slight headache.
Yeah, that's true. You might have a slight headache.
It gets worse though. Last time I said it gets better, but listen to the next statement she makes here. This is pretty fucking hilarious.
Do you want your cab driver to be high on pot?
But
I just love that.
That's such a stupid argument. That's like, hey, I mean, like, we could ban anything like that. It's like, hey, you know, we should ban lawnmowers.
Let's ban,
Would you want your
yeah.
cab driver trying to mow his lawn as he drove your cab?
Let's ban saturated fats in food. That's just we have to protect our arteries from the menace that is saturated fat. We don't know what's going to happen, and cholesterol.
Have to protect.
We need to ban cholesterol as well.
We have to protect the eyes of people from fat.
Yeah.
I don't like looking at fat people. Can you just please do like some kind of concentration camp genocide
Holocaust
thing?
type thing. That would be great.
She goes on to say
that'd
some
be
more,
nifty.
Crazy stuff.
How about
that's one-
your
I
how
think
about your
that's one
plane,
issue.
your airplane pilot?
I think
what
that's
about
one
that?
issue. Hang on, but on the other side, I was talking to a tour operator, obviously who's thrilled at the legalization, recreationally speaking, in Colorado specifically, and he would argue, listen, if you do it responsibly.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is Nancy Grace gonna do when the unemployment in Colorado doesn't jump to like 50%. And like her argument is totally refuted.
Now, I'm pretty sure that the industry is creating jobs in Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, well, probably so. I mean,
Bringing in tax revenue,
it's an
creating
entirely new
jobs.
industry.
And I mean, not really affecting the state in any negative ways for the most part.
Yeah.
Let's play some more.
You don't get behind the wheel. You do it in a private, confined space. You do it safely. No harm, no foul.
You mean a private space like your home where you're supposed to be taking care of your children? Or
Whoa! Whoa!
So everyone has children now.
Not everyone fucking has children, all right?
What about old people who have already had children?
And what about people like me or Ben who don't fucking want them?
Yeah.
But what about your dogs? Think about your dog's future, TJ.
Oh, God.
What is Grendel's future now?
We'll just never feed them again,
Yeah,
and they'll just die of starvation.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, Grendel is, I hate to tell everyone this, but Grendel is actually Grendel the 78th.
Oh, shit.
Because, you know, we keep just us stupid stoner fucks. We can't remember to feed our pets.
a gas stove or lighting a fireplace? You mean that place? Yeah, no. Not a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want, when I'm at work, I don't want my babysitter high on pot. All right? Does he...
She was a district attorney. Is that what her job was?
I think she was a federal prosecutor, wasn't she,
Oh,
TJ?
my God. These are the people that throw people in prison, honestly?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
What does she do? She just stands up in front of the court like, yeah!
And the judge is like, that makes sense to me.
That is a compelling argument.
Look,
Guilty.
No.
Guilty.
This is the deal with federal prosecutors, okay? Who's gathering information on you generally when you're doing a federal case? The FBI. They're completely diligent. They'll document whatever crime you were doing. They'll have so much evidence against you that you're going to take a plea bargain or you're going to fucking have a 95% chance of going to jail for about 20 or 30 years.
Yeah, of course.
So, I mean, she was probably dealing with slam dunk cases.
Swoosh.
Yeah.
More.
Anybody? Do you want your children? Do you want your parents, your sister, your brother to be taken care of or driven around by somebody on pot?
I want to point out that the CNN anchor is barely containing derisive laughter at this point.
Yes.
Like, you can totally see this woman just wanting to just chuckle in her face, like, what the fuck are you talking?
That's because she is a legitimate journalist. Not like we're trying to say we are. We're just guys sitting on couches talking into microphones.
But, you know, hey, if you want to give us a Pulitzer or something.
Yeah.
Nancy Grace, I think Nancy
we
Grace's
are
show
available.
could teach a course on just logic and like logical fallacies. You could just go through it and just point out.
Yeah, I just heard like 2 minutes.
Dude, we should.
I know.
Hey, we should make a YouTube video where we do I guess someone might steal this idea, but that's fine.
Who cares?
Just give me credit. You should do a course on all of the logical fallacies. Like go find a website that explains
we
them all.
can use Fox News and Nancy
And then
Grace.
just show examples using Nancy Grace. Nancy Grace alone, because just show like what a fucking stupid bitch she is.
That'd be awesome. We have to do that.
Just
now.
prove it beyond any doubt. Like this person
idiot.
engages in every sort of, critical thinking failure that you could imagine or conceive of.
Because it's okay in Colorado. You know what? Colorado gets what they ask for.
I know people are screaming at the television, agreeing with you,
I'm sure.
and vehemently disagreeing with
Hey,
you.
look, the ones that are disagreeing are lethargic, sitting on the sofa eating chips.
Oh,
I have
that
no
is
chips.
fat and
Statement, Nancy
lazy.
Grace.
There.
I'm sorry, Nancy Grace, for not giving me chips.
And Nancy Grace, by the way, has never sat on a couch or eaten a chip.
Yeah, sure she hasn't.
Yeah. She's never done either of those things.
Never.
Only people who smoke pot do those things.
Here's another video I found that's pretty hilarious, covering the same
I had
topic.
the privilege of authoring the Mental Health Parity and Addiction Equity Act in Congress, and we're now embarking on treating the brain and mental health like we would all other physical health issues. Well, a big part of treatment is prevention. There's nothing unscientific about prevention. Public health is well-founded. And what we know is when you make something legal, if accessibility is readily available, there's going to be more people who use. Now you deduct the fact that with probability, if a certain percentage of people who are prone to addiction, if more people use, more people will be prone, more people will get addicted, And we know with kids that this isn't about 21 or older. This is about now, because the NIH just did a report.
I just want to point out that in the United States, the drinking age is 21. And when I was, 15, 16 years old, it was always easier to find pan than it was to get alcohol, at least for me.
Yeah, I would say the same was true at my high school.
Yeah.
You could
So
you could find the pan hookup a lot easier than the booze hookup. Well, I mean, especially because it's more easy to conceal.
yeah. So this is just bullshit coming out of this guy's mouth.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically saying now because you've legalized it, now that's going to give kids access. I have news for you: the kids already have access. I've been to high school.
Right.
This is called living in a dream.
Well, also in an unregulated black market, it's easier for kids to get it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it'd be interesting to see if legalizing it actually did make it more difficult for kids to have access.
There's
in Colorado.
no street drug dealers checking IDs to make sure that his customers are over 21 or even over 18.
Yeah, they're counting dollar bills. They're not
Right.
counting, how fucking old you are.
But at Walmart they would be checking IDs. I think they should just sell it at Walmart.
I like the fact that they can't, only because I like the fact that there are stores just solely dedicated to it.
Yeah, that's better actually.
We just need to be legal everywhere, and you just have to be 18 or older to.
What's really going to
They're
suck?
gonna do 21.
What's really going to suck is when
Stupid.
companies like Marlboro get their hands on weed and start making weed Marlboros and shit.
Ugh.
When I was in Europe,
No thanks.
when I was in Europe, most people smoked it with tobacco in it.
Really?
Yes.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Fucking Europe, you do everything wrong.
Survey of the Future, which they showed that there is greater usage because kids, guess what? They look at what their parents, their friends do who are older.
So
They
even though
get
it's
it.
illegal for kids, you still think that it's
Well,
going
it
to
doesn't matter. It's like alcohol. 52% of our teenagers use alcohol because it's legal.
You don't buy this argument though.
No, I just don't think there's any data to back it up. I mean, if you can look at, for example, California, where there's been medical marijuana extremely liberally applied, I think too liberally applied myself, you haven't seen much increase in usage at all compared to other states in the last 7 or 8 years. What you've also seen, actually, with states that have medical marijuana, you've seen a big decline in drinking. What people do is substitute. And in fact, people don't necessarily drink as much now, and they smoke pot, which of course is much better for you than drinking alcohol,
You don't believe
and
it
much
leads-
less addictive.
You don't
than
believe
alcohol.
it's addictive at all in
No,
any way.
I don't. It's any. Now look, there are psychological
but wait a
dependency
second.
issues,
We
but there's no chemical
You want
addiction.
So,
you,
Andrew,
Patrick.
I don't propose to be an expert on this, but I do rely on Nora Volka, who's the director of the National Institutes on Drug Abuse. And
I don't have facts to back this up.
I depend on some puppet to tell me what.
I didn't come here armed with no fancy facts and figures, but what I can tell you is that this authority figure that I place my faith in has assured me.
It's an appeal to authority right there. I mean, it's a clear cop out.
she says you're flat wrong. First, the statistics show
And she
that
is
more
my
kids
God.
are using it.
He said
Twice the rate of the
statistics.
national average in Colorado.
Statistics.
You mean already?
So
in
here it
6
is,
days?
Andrew. All the states with medical marijuana or legalization
Are awesome.
have 2 or 3 times greater use amongst teenagers.
Oh no!
This is the issue.
I don't even.
No question.
That's not
it should
even
not be-
fucking. Until I see an actual figure from a reliable source,
Even if that was true,
I'm going to assume that's
they
total
were going to be
bullshit.
doing it any fucking way. It's already illegal right now.
Now we're gonna watch a video from TJ's favorite guy,
Han Shanity.
Han Shanity. He does have some epic hair.
TJ Faps does Sean Hannity's hair.
Oh yeah.
Just his hair though, not the rest. He's like, oh. He pretty much just has to like block out the
Democratic
rest.
Congressman Jared Polis of Colorado, one of the first states to legalize marijuana, extended a special invitation to President Obama and Senator Harry Reid. In the letter, he said, quote, "I'm writing to you to thank you both for your recent comments regarding your shifting positions on the regulation and legalization of marijuana. I'd like to extend an invitation to both of you to visit Colorado and join me to visit a legal dispensary and growth operation. I'm confident that when you see Colorado's work to implement the law, well, we can begin to make similar efforts on a federal level. Joining me now to explain and defend his pro-pot position, the man himself, Democratic Congressman Jared Polis. Do you smoke pot, Congressman? Do you?
No, I never have, no.
Recreationally, you think it's good for people to smoke? You don't have a problem with it?
Oh, well, it's obviously unhealthy, a lot like alcohol or cigarettes. As the president said, it's a vice. It's a question of how we deal with that vice. Do you put people in jail or fine them over it, or do you try to deal with it as a health and education issue?
All right, but
can we pause it for a second? I want to point out the irony that Sean Hannity, who fancies himself a conservative, is really making the state control argument, whereas this Democrat, who is supposedly this liberal socialist, is making the conservative argument.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what the fuck is going on?
Or what they would espouse to be.
Everything is just topsy-turvy in our politics.
It's the more libertarian argument, but it's being made by the Democrat, the guy with the D next to his name.
Yes. All right. Well, go ahead.
Difference between decriminalizing it and then making it legal as we have in your state, isn't it?
Well, you know, decriminalization is a gateway to legalization, but frankly, whether it's a civil fine, as many towns in our state of Colorado, many cities have fines for it. It's just a civil penalty. Other towns allow it. I think it's an appropriate discussion at the municipal level, at the county level. I think the federal government ought to get out of it. We got to remove the federal ban.
You know, when Congressman Patrick Kennedy, I'm not particularly too fond, you may know, of his political views. When he had some issues, I defended him on this program, hoped that he would go out and get help. He said these things. He knows more about drugs than I do, so maybe you should hear it from him, and I want you to respond to this.
I think the president needs to speak to
it's this guy
his
again.
NIH.
Why does it? This guy, I mean, I hate to say this, but like, what is his developmental challenge that he's got going on?
I don't know. It says he's a representative from Rhode Island. He's a congressman from Rhode Island.
So was it just like was it like a Make-A-Wish thing, or
it was a Make-A-Wish Foundation intervened in politics on his behalf?
I just want to be a congressman.
Yeah, his name's Patrick Kennedy. I wonder if he is.
It's like, oh, you're from Rhode Island. No one gives a shit what your state does, anyways.
Go ahead.
Director in charge of drug abuse, Nora Volkow, because the NIDA director, Nora Volkow, would tell the president that, in fact, today's modern genetically modified marijuana, so it's much higher THC levels, far surpass the...
It's GMO marijuana.
That's awesome.
Marijuana the president acknowledges smoking when he was a young person, so that he is wrong when he says that it isn't very harmful, because the new marijuana is not the old marijuana. And of course the president is making this decision based upon his anecdotal experience. We need to have presidential decisions made based upon public health and the sound science that the federal government is invested in.
You know, it's kind of funny because just last night we were talking shit. Like, I was talking shit about how Obama was against the legalization of Pan, but apparently recently he shifted his position because Fox News has been talking about it in most of their videos that I found on the subject. So
yeah, well, I think Obama saw the writing on the wall and just decided, like, you know, if you want, I mean, like, it's like if they say, if you want to lead the people, follow them.
Dude, it's the emperor's new clothes. Once you say something, it's a lot easier for everyone else to jump on board. It's like 2 states legalize it, more states are looking to legalize it. It's easy for Obama to just be ahead of the issue and be like, yeah, I'm in favor of it.
And plus, all these states that are looking at Colorado right now are like, Jesus Christ, they're making so much fucking money.
Yeah.
Dude, I was even seeing conservatives in Louisiana, like, online arguing about in favor of legalizing marijuana. So,
wow.
I mean,
that's the good thing about America. If you can give them a profit motive, something will get done.
Yeah, it's so true.
Now, he's making his case. He's struggled with substance abuse. Many other people that I know and have met in my life that have struggled with substance abuse start with marijuana and move on to harder drugs. There are competing, you know, studies about it. How do you respond to that? If its availability now is going to be all over your state?
You know, Patrick Kennedy's a friend of mine. I don't know why he's trying to speak for the NIH director there. There's some truth in what he says. When it's in the black market, you don't know what's in it. Just as when alcohol was illegal in the 1920s, moonshine killed people because it was tainted. There's no question that on the illegal black market, they're selling all sorts of things that are laced with marijuana. Who knows what it is? In a regulated marketplace like we have with alcohol today, the product can be a lot safer. And is marijuana dangerous? Absolutely. The dangers are comparable to alcohol, which is fully legal in this country.
I'm not sure if I agree with the dangers, because when you smoke pot, you get high. Do you drink beer? I drink beer.
I have drank beer, yes.
All right, so if you drink, I can drink a beer or two, and I don't really feel anything, right? But you can't smoke a joint and not feel something.
Look, I represent a district.
Okay, like there's just other ways to take marijuana other than like a joint. It's
he's using the same argument that Ann Coulter used in that one.
I just don't they seem to not understand the concept of the autonomy of human beings. It's just like they have this weird argument that's reliant upon this preconceived notion of if marijuana is legal, then everyone will be high at all times with no discretion whatsoever.
The only time they believe in autonomy for human beings is when it comes to money. You should be able to do whatever you want with all the money that you can get your hands on.
But only if you already have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, the Republicans say they're about small government, but yet they want to completely control like all these substances and regulate that. We need to regulate marijuana use, but you can't regulate like the banking industry or any other industry.
They don't even want to regulate it. They just want to make it illegal and allow the black market to flourish.
Well, basically they're regulating into prohibition, is what I'm saying. Like they're trying to create regulations against these things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That has a couple colleges, Colorado State University, University of Colorado Boulder. Yeah. Every year, tragically, kids die from alcohol overdose. 1, 2, 3 years.
But you didn't answer my question. I said you can drink a beer. You didn't answer my question. I said you can drink a beer and you cannot get high. If you smoke pot, you will get high.
Look,
I love how no one on these shows has actually smoked pot according to them. No one is like an open like I smoke pot and I'm going to actually answer your questions about it like someone who actually has experience.
The one guy that was on okay, this person needs to be banned. The one guy that was on Stephen Colbert said he ate it.
I don't smoke it, but I eat it.
I don't smoke it, but I do eat it. That's what he said.
You can use anything in moderation or anything in excess. Now you're talking about how much they use it.
If you smoke any marijuana, you're going to get high. You can drink a beer and not feel, with dinner, or have a glass of wine with dinner, and you're not going to feel anything.
So the question is, what do you want? Do you want to police arrest people for it, or do you want to deal with it through an honest dialogue and discussion?
I didn't say that. I'm not making the case for that, but I think recreational legalization is going to open a door, and I do believe, conflicting studies for sure, that it is a gateway drug. Let me play for you something from the president, his audiobook, Dreams from My Father, and get your reaction to this.
I spent the last 2 years of high school in a daze, locking away the questions that life seemed insistent on posing. I kept playing basketball, attended classes sparingly, drank beer heavily, and tried drugs enthusiastically. I discovered that it didn't make any difference whether you smoked reefer in the white classmate's sparkling new van, or in the dorm room with some brother you'd met down at the gym, or on the beach with a couple of Hawaiian kids who had dropped out of school and now spent most of their time looking for an excuse to brawl.
Here's the question. With the new availability that you're supporting, that probably will be the life of a lot of kids, what Barack Obama's saying now.
Pause. It was the life of fucking a kid then. Barack Obama. You think his experience was unique?
And he was able to be successful in life.
Yeah, I mean, like, not a very good example. Like, what if all these kids are like the president? The most successful person in the entire United States of America.
Yeah, well, he was successful even before that, too. He could have just stayed a senator and laid low, but...
And probably would have, probably could have done it for, like, forever, too.
Yeah.
Because you could just be a senator endlessly.
Yeah. Senator, congressperson, there's no term limits. So... Yeah, so we'll get to the end of Hannity here, and then there's some other ones we can listen to.
I wish we were getting to the literal end of Hannity.
Is that a problem? Is that a problem for you?
Part of the reason that Colorado voters and myself support moving this direction is to keep marijuana out of the hands of kids. The corner drug dealer that Barack Obama bought from 30 years ago, that drug dealer didn't care if he was 15 years old.
He also admitted he snorted cocaine.
That's the point I made earlier.
in this book, but you're not
That's
answering
why
my
he had to
question.
make sure it sounded
Does the-
ridiculous before he could even get it out.
Yeah, he's like, hold on.
Hold on, no, whoa, don't make that point. Don't make that point. Hold on, no.
It's not legally, when you put the legal name upon this, are you not saying it's safe? Even though you're saying it's unsafe, there's a certain implied impression.
Okay, so what animal died on his head? I'm staring at him, I'm trying to figure out what. The thing is a living organism.
Yeah.
I swear I've seen it like wink.
Yeah, it is some epic hair.
Hannity just doesn't really make any sense. Like, if it's legal, you're saying it's safe. It's like, well, we all know drinking alcohol in excess is not safe and it's not good for you. But
Correct.
it's still legal. Smoking cigarettes every day over a long term leads to a number of like horrible diseases.
Yes.
It's still legal. So I mean, why isn't Sean Hannity making the case to ban cigarettes and alcohol as well? And why isn't he at the same time making the case to ban guns? He's so worried about safety.
You're right.
I mean, this argument makes no sense.
Everyone, he should also be arguing that everyone has to wear a crash helmet while they drive too, because most deaths in car accidents are from head injuries. You know.
Oh, of course.
He should be.
No. Well, look. The metal contraption that fires the high velocity projectiles that are capable of killing people. That's not the problem. That's not dangerous. What's really dangerous is this plant that makes people a little absent-minded.
Yeah.
For a little while. That's the big issue.
You know what?
That's the danger to society.
I'm already tired of listening to him, so I'm just going to move on.
Yeah,
to the
fuck
next
this.
thing.
Let's move on.
Fuck this dude.
Yeah.
Fuck him in his ass.
I told you, TJ wants to have sex with Sean Hannity.
Only his hair.
Only his hair, though.
I was talking about his hair's ass.
His hair's ass. All right.
She looks confused.
It's Elizabeth Hasselbeck.
She is confused then.
She is confused.
Yeah. She's confused all the time. So here's another Fox News story.
Oh my God.
Well, President Obama's comments that pot is no more dangerous than alcohol, creating controversy.
You know, this is the only news outlet. I guess maybe I just wasn't looking in the right places, but I did not know that Obama said this. Only on Fox News did I really hear this much coverage of what Obama said.
Okay, let's see.
But a brand new study says he's got it wrong. Joining us right now is the former director of the White House Office of Drug Control Policy, John Walters. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning. Good to be with you.
I mean, the president's comments were shocking to us, but not to him because our POTUS did a lot of pot when he was growing up.
So this is a high-ranking guy on the Office of Drug Control Policy. He was also a former Bush administration drug czar. So, what do you think his position is going to be?
I don't know.
Totally in favor of legalization of all drugs.
Probably very reasonable too.
Yeah.
Yeah, except that like baby boomers and post-baby boomer generation he's a part of, they also saw, and you read his autobiography, you know, pot makes you stupid, and he knows that, and we don't need more stupidity, and we don't need more addiction, which it also leads to.
Why would, hey, you know, if you're Fox News, you do not need to be rallying against stupidity. I mean,
crack is whack, TJ.
That's like bread protesting butter, you know? I mean, come on.
Peanut butter protesting jelly.
Yeah, these two things, they don't need to be at odds. Come on now.
Bacon versus ice cream.
Don't make me choose.
Experience. Hey, just watch celebrities. 2 words: Justin Bieber.
Sure, and you know, John.
Whoa. 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 2 words: Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
You smoke pot, you'll turn into this guy.
Justin Bieber. You'll be a millionaire.
Yeah, a rich, talentless fuck with like a mansion and a bunch of Lamborghinis. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you have to do to attain this success, Justin? Nothing.
Doesn't this contradict not only policy in terms of marijuana being illegal across many states, but also, according to the CDC, 23% of high school students say they recently smoked marijuana. Another study that came out suggests that pot use in teens could later on impact their programming of certain genes and even their offspring's tendencies toward addiction later on. I mean, how irresponsible is this message that the President of the United States put out there?
The woman that was just talking, for those of you who don't know who she is, she was the only conservative member of the panel that was on The View, a show I can't stand to watch, but I just having to know who she is. And then when her contract ended, she went to Fox News, and now she's one of the blonde ladies on Fox News.
Yeah, it's so shocking.
Who stares vacant-eyed at the camera and says, "I can't believe it."
Yeah.
Yeah, he's living in the past to kind of, when you did dope when you were a teenager as a baby.
Whoa. He called it dope. I just want to point
He's
that out.
smoking the dope.
He's smoking the dope.
When you were a
He smoked the
post-baby
dope.
boomer, this was all just harmless fun. 15 years of research has actually shown some of the real problems and why they happened. The most recent study shows that there may be a possibility of people in adolescence who use passing tendencies for addiction on. We've known people inherit risks for addiction from family members who may be alcoholics or drug impaired.
You know what's really funny? The government basically, because it outlawed weed, no one was really able to do any research on marijuana. It was very difficult to conduct any research, and now they're acting like all the facts are in.
Yeah, they made it a Schedule I narcotic, and that was it.
Yeah, so they're the ones who stifled research, and now they're acting like research indicates something in their favor.
Yeah, exactly. The little bit of research. Did you ever hear about the study that says that it kills brain cells and what they actually did? I guess they gave the lab rats like 90% smoke and 10% oxygen, and then said it killed brain cells.
Well, no, yeah, hypoxia, yeah, no shit.
Yeah, so that's pretty.
That kind of reminds me of the of what they did to basically get the cancer verdict with like saccharin.
They gave them the lab rats.
They gave them like a dose that would be equivalent to like a human being eating an entire barrel.
I think they actually did use like some great ape or like chimpanzees or something. They did the same thing. It's like, look at this abnormal liver function when you give them 1,000 times as much as you would give a human.
Yeah.
Now have a mechanism.
You can actually you can actually poison yourself on water.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have water poisoning. So like,
hold your wee for a wee that killed the woman.
Yeah, you know what? I knew someone who went to one of those contests where you had to drink a bottle of water every hour or something like that, and if you peed, you lost. And everyone there that lost didn't lose because they had to pee, it was because they threw up eventually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they were overhydrated for sure.
yeah, you should probably, before you hold a contest doing something, you should probably study what its effects on the human body will be.
Right. Because you can overhydrate yourself. There is such a thing as too much water.
There's all sorts of crazy little ways you can kill yourself if you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Well, like if you give yourself a massive dose of vitamin A, you could like make your skin fall off, I think.
That's crazy. All right, let's listen to this crazy fuck a little bit more here.
Sounds
But
good.
it's important. But the real issue here is also how addictive current marijuana is. The president's completely out of touch. 25% of students 12 to 17 who have used marijuana in the last year already have progressed in needing treatment.
Sure, no doubt marijuana is dangerous. So since the
treatment,
no doubt marijuana
what
is
sort
dangerous.
Of what
It's
sort
dangerous.
of treatment? There's no There's no amount of pot you can. There's what? How could anyone require treatment?
The treatment exists as an ultimatum for jail time.
Oh, okay.
And that's, they use those numbers saying, look how many people are in treatment for this. That's because they're given a choice when they have their first charge. You know, jail or therapy.
Oh, like a diversion program, basically, where it's like, if you do this, you don't get it doesn't go on your record and all that. And
or you don't have to go to jail.
Yeah, you don't have to go to jail. Yeah.
So.
Cool.
The president won't tell us that, although the White House website does say that the administration is against it. Real quickly, explain to folks watching how it impacts your IQ.
Yeah, there's been one of the most troubling studies that have shown risk is that heavy use as an adolescent and then going on into young adulthood, that is, daily, frequent use, not only makes you stupid while you're doing it, but it can reduce your IQ permanently by 7 points. There was a study, groundbreaking study done over a number of years with twins to control for our genetic differences. And that's what they found, and that is now another reason why, if the president cares about the health of the country when he talks.
How exactly was this experiment conducted? Like, hey,
twin
twin number 1, you smoke weed. Twin number 2, you clean.
They ask people about that when they do studies. They ask basically they specifically seek out people who are illegal drug users. Like, do you use illegal drugs? And they go yes, and then they do the studies.
How many twins did they find where one twin smoked weed and the other didn't?
Who knows?
Like,
Who knows if this even happened? I question. The
I don't think
credibility
it
of
did,
this.
but
These are probably bunk studies.
I'm just examining it on its head. I mean, I'm sure that usually when you hear something like this, when you actually do any research into it, it's
They're
like
bullshit.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Fox News likes.
There actually is some cognitive impairment if you smoke weed as an adolescent, though.
Sure.
But just don't smoke it as an adolescent then.
Fox News likes to use a study has shown, but they don't say who did the study.
I mean, peanuts will kill you if you're fucking allergic to them. I mean, why don't we ban those too?
About healthcare, he is now producing a large-scale disease that can cause brain damage in young people. It's so irresponsible. He's not talking to his own health experts. He's not talking to the people who know drug policy. He's sitting by himself and living in the past. He's got to wise up and stop being stupid.
All right, we're going to leave it right there.
He's living in the past. He's living in the past.
I know, isn't that funny?
He's living in the past.
And then he called him stupid.
Hey,
I mean,
it's stupid. He's smoking too much weed.
Yeah.
Dope.
Yep. Yeah. So here's the last video clip about this. Some people debating it. I don't even know who they are. I think it might be on Pierce Morgan.
This is the issue. No question, it should not be a criminal issue. I don't think any of us.
Thank you.
It should not be a criminal issue.
So we have a point of consensus on that.
Absolutely, I
Because it seems to
agree
be
with
locking
him.
out hundreds of thousands of Americans.
Right.
Or even giving them an arrest record or taking away their jobs.
There should not be an arrest record for marijuana. But you don't legalize it and mass produce it. Just like the alcohol industry and the tobacco.
By that criteria, would you then outlaw alcohol and tobacco? And if not, why
Too
not?
late.
Too late?
Too late, okay? Why would I add a third industry that is a dangerous industry that gets your children and my children even more
Howard,
exposure
you're not adding a third
to
industry.
marijuana.
You're not adding a third
Oh, we
industry.
are.
You're transforming it from an
No.
illegal industry to a
Alcohol,
legal industry.
tobacco,
You're transforming
Yeah, I mean the industry is already there.
Right.
The industry already exists.
Right now, it's gangs and cartels that are profiting from this industry.
Why should that be the case? I mean, like, I kind of almost wonder if these conservatives are, like, in the pockets of the fucking cartels and just getting, like, kickbacks or something. Because, I mean, these arguments... every time I see an argument that's seemingly impervious to reason and I can't figure out the reason why, then I assume that someone is fucking paying someone else.
Yeah.
Maybe that's too conspiratorial.
Probably the alcohol and tobacco industry, too.
Yeah, I mean, there's... how many... I mean, like, there's people who have financially a lot to gain by this not being done, and a lot of them are very powerful people.
Exactly.
I mean, do you believe that these powerful people are standing idly by while their business is threatened?
You know, there's a lot of politicians that are heavily involved in the alcohol industry because they also own part of the alcohol industry, like John McCain. He actually married into a family that's one of the largest alcohol distributors in the country.
Me too. I wish.
Is a disaster
Howard, you're
for
transforming it from an illegal industry where conflicts are resolved with violence, where you empower organized criminals, where you arrest these numbers of people. Wait a second, into a legal industry. The idea is this will now be legal. Colorado.
How is he spinning it? That's not a refutation. That's just like, you're spinning it. How?
Because
Well,
I said so.
You spin me right
Spin the
around,
bottle.
baby, right around like a record, baby, right round, round, round.
Substantial tax revenues. The money in Colorado is going for school construction.
Ethan,
The money will go for
as
drug
we
treatment.
Sit here right
so let's
now,
be realistic.
As we sit here right now, there are millions of dollars being raised to create acres and acres of marijuana to be mass produced.
Howard, do you want to know?
It's like a nightmare.
Yeah, the drug cartels aren't doing that in national parks and other places now. I mean, this is a joke.
The mountains of Kentucky, which are not far from where we live,
hippies in Northern California,
are
British
filled.
Columbia.
Yeah.
Pick a region in the country, you're going to find people growing weed.
Exactly.
And it's, quote unquote illegal.
Quit spinning it, Scotty.
You're spinning it.
Quit spinning it.
Spinning it, Scotty.
Why are you
So
spinning
why
it?
would you create a drug and put it out there for my children?
What is it? Everyone with their fucking stupid children.
Whoa.
Is that
They're growing a plant.
He's a creationist.
He's creating a drug. What are these growers, God? Or alchemists? They just go in their lab and they come out with pot? Is that what happens?
Yeah.
Trying to sell drugs to my children.
No drug
smoke.
Howard, no drug is being created, and the marijuana
Can I
law
jump in here
is
just for
nothing
a
more to help.
second? Let me just say, I know this debate, it always does, it raises temperatures. Let me just say, there is one other massive issue which we haven't addressed yet, which is a tweet
Which is my
from
penis.
Ben & Jerry's, the ice cream firm, saying we are hearing reports of stores selling out of Ben & Jerry's in Colorado. What's up with that? And that's a joke you'll only understand if you're really down with the kids and know all about marijuana.
Okay, that was a pretty lame statement by Pierce at the end there.
Yeah.
Pierce. Wah, wah,
Wah, wah.
So now we're going to move on to someone else.
Ooh.
This is Newt Gingrich.
My ex.
Asking one of the stupidest questions
ever.
Let me just ask you a question for a second. Assume for a minute that we had the capacity to actually decide the planet's temperature. So we could do whatever policies you think would work. What's the right temperature?
Assume for a minute that I had a brain. Now try to explain to me why I'm a fucking idiot.
So he just asked, what's the right temperature? What, for the whole planet? I mean, what is he talking about?
It's like, I mean, I'm trying to even think of an analogy of how stupid it is.
He's trying to make the argument that we don't know. That's basically, we don't know what the proper temperature is, so how can we say this one is wrong? Maybe it's meant to rise in temperature. Maybe it's for the best.
Well, let me ask you. There's 32 flavors of ice cream at Baskin-Robbins. Well, which one? Right? Which one?
No one knows.
For the planet. I mean, it's always amazed me because I'm an amateur paleontologist. And I look at, I've been at the University
and a professional
of Chicago,
asshole.
Museum in Chicago looking at dinosaurs from the Antarctic. I've also been in Wisconsin looking at the ice sheets, what's left over from the glacial moraine, when you had literally a mile-thick ice coming all the way down. What kind of hubris does it take to say, I know exactly what this planet's temperature ought to be, and I'm going to manage it to that effect?
Stop. Okay, like, it's not even a matter of, like, temperature, really. It's a matter of the fact that places where there should be ice, there's not ice.
Right.
And we've had some of the hottest years on record in the last decade.
And crazy weather, the break from like predictable weather patterns.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
climate change is obviously occurring.
Our weather is becoming more and more erratic. We're having like one of the most ridiculously cold winters here, while Australia is having one of the most ridiculously hot summers there.
Right.
I mean, like, the planet is fucking acting wonky as shit. You know what he's like? He's like the guy at the steering wheel of the car, and the car has like 4 flat tires, and there's sparks flying up, and he's like, nothing's wrong. Who are you to say? The car's still moving, ain't it? We're going 20 miles an hour, and we're shooting sparks everywhere, and we're probably going to fucking run out of gas soon.
You don't know what the car should be like. I know what the car should be like.
Okay.
Yeah.
The hubris, this is my hubris. I think the average temperature for the past 10,000 years, where we've actually had human civilization, would be nice to stay within that if we can. And there's no reason.
It's actually a pretty good answer.
Yeah. This is Van Jones, and he usually
Logic.
has solid
Oops.
arguments.
Logic.
Problem is, if we put the foot on the accelerator with this experiment we're doing with the only planet that we know, and we're wrong, and we wind up cooking the planet, that's a bad outcome you can't recover from. There are alternatives to using intensive carbon-based fuels. We should be moving in that direction.
And, I mean, like, there's so many other motivations for moving in that direction, too. It's not like climate change is the only impetus for this change.
Yeah, we will run out of fossil fuels eventually and need renewable energy.
Not only, I mean, like, we're a 200,000-year-old species that has gone through almost all of the fossil fuel resources of the planet in the last, like, couple hundred.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, how is that? How is
order-
that fair to every future generation?
Starting with the Industrial Revolution, we've been, slowly whittling away at it over
Well,
time.
not to mention all the gas boom in America is due to the shale deposits, and they have to frack, and they're basically poisoning all the groundwater in those areas.
Yeah, that's why we have
get that.
earthquakes. in this
Who
part of the
needs
country
water
now.
when you got money?
They didn't used to have earthquakes out here, but now they do because of all the fracking.
Not even surprised.
I can't just wait till the whole country just falls into the fucking ocean.
Yeah.
Never a senator. No. Since we're talking about science,
Yes.
the age of the dinosaurs was dramatically warmer than this is right now.
Yeah, and we don't want to live in that age, you fucking asshole.
Yeah, was he trying to say? Is he gonna?
Jurassic Park is back.
Is he one of the people that believes humans lived during the age of the dinosaurs or something? Look, we made it through that time. Okay, we'll make it through it again.
Humans fought Tyrannosaurus Rex and Triceratops and shit. They were fine.
We put saddles on their asses and rode them around.
Haven't you been to the Creation Museum?
Yeah, the Flintstones. Just like the Flintstones,
I always like the remote control from the Flintstones.
Yeah, the bird.
Yeah,
that just flies across and changes the channel manually.
That shit was awesome. I need one of those.
What a life!
And in fact, life was fine.
Life was fine. Life was fine, but not for people.
The number of people leaving Minnesota this evening to get to the Caribbean.
Life was fine. It was a totally different form of life that was adapted to that environment, you fucking drone.
And now he's saying, look, people are going from Minnesota to the Caribbean, but you don't see it going the other way around.
Okay, but like we have these things called ecosystems where there's other animals that are not as adapted to this change as we are, and when those ecosystems collapse, there goes our fucking food resources, dipshit.
Well, I mean, just look at the position of the Caribbean, which is way closer to the equator, and Minnesota, which is up near Canada.
Here's a good experiment. Go fucking subject all the plants in the Caribbean to Arctic temperatures, and then go subject all of the fucking plants up here to tropic temperatures, and see how they fucking fare. Welcome to the future.
You're just wrong. You're just wrong.
Versus the number of people leaving the Caribbean to try to get to Minnesota would argue that slightly warmer wouldn't be a crisis.
Hold on a second now. Now let's really get into it. Let's really get into
What's the right temperature?
I'm just gonna,
first of all,
when the globe warms, I'm just gonna be out there with my lemonade, sitting on my Barca lounger, just sipping that shit.
Interesting he brings up the Caribbean because the islands he might be talking about might actually be underwater. By the time this is really even progressed as far as it's going to progress.
And he's still going, come on, why can't you tell me the right temperature? What's the right temperature? Now, he just mentioned...
The right temperature is where life on Earth doesn't perish.
Well, he just mentioned...
And our ecosystem doesn't suffer total collapse. How about that?
He understands that it's warmer in some places and cold in other places, so why is he still insisting on this uniform
this right temperature?
Yeah.
What is the right temperature? What is the right flavor of ice cream? What is the right movie?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a false equivalence. It has to. You don't know the right temperature, according to me, so you just don't know what you're talking about, and we just don't know. We just need to, stay the course.
It is ridiculous how it is this easy to just prove how much bullshit comes out of this guy's mouth.
And none of these other pundits do it either. That just shows how these news shows are just a fucking orchestrated pageant between fucking demagogues peddling bullshit.
You can vote for this pile of shit, or you can vote for this pile of shit.
For somebody who cares an awful lot about animals, about species, you've been a huge champion. Almost all of the major climate scientists say that you could have massive die-offs of many more species than just the ones that you stood up for. But you can barely wait to get in here. Let me finish.
You did that to me on purpose.
No, since you're a co-host, you get a shot.
Exactly, that's great. No, listen. Sure. Will human beings be able?
I like
to
how they sit them. I like how this show sits them uncomfortably close to each other.
I think it's is it? Oh yeah, I guess they do sit that close to each other. First, I thought it was a split screen.
Oh, is it? Maybe it is. Okay, I see the line. You're right.
Survive under many circumstances, yes, but the kind of civilization that we have had, with the kind of agricultural systems that we have had.
Yeah, I mean, if they were, I know the listeners can't see this, but it would almost be like they were on a date if they were really sitting that close to each other.
They might be, because it looks like the design continues, or maybe that's just a camera trick.
Yeah.
Because it looks
are
like there's
in grave
one
danger and also
congruent background.
I think
Whatever.
it may be.
So you mentioned other species. Other species might do better than we would under a radically changed scenario. Now you tell me why you don't like that answer.
This is a bait and switch. 97% of some subset of scientists agree that where man-made global warming is what we've seen over the past 50, 100 years. All right? That's uncontroversial and maybe uncontrovertible. The bait and switch is you take that and say we're heading to catastrophic global warming. All the major scientists say we're going to lose species. No, they don't. There's some that say that. There's no consensus on major die-off of species.
Let's bring an entertainment report.
Okay, I mean, there is major consensus on that, but I mean, even if there weren't, it only takes common sense to understand that if you change the environment that some form of life has adapted to survive in, if you suddenly alter that, that's bad for the ecosystem. I mean, we're already seeing species die off. Like, what about the bees? They're dying off. Could global warming be a factor in that? I don't.
They're just little insects. Who gives a shit about that?
They're little insects that pollinate.
BP and ExxonMobil know
that
best.
pollinate a shitload of our crops.
And they're pretty sure that everything's going to be just fine.
Just fine. Just fine. So
not to mention that there is a certain temperature at which our oceans will become largely acidic, and almost all fish life will die. So.
No, that's not a problem.
We can look forward to that.
I'm going to move number 3 to after the first break, and then I'm just going to cover the number 4 right now.
All right.
All right, so we're going to move on to a story that I found pretty fucking hilarious. There's a picture of it. I guess there was a speed skating competition for some championship, and this was the final. It was between the Netherlands and Russia, and the guy that you're seeing in the blue, apparently I believe he was skating for Russia, and then the guy flipping the bird is from the Netherlands, and we'll play the story here.
How not to lose a race.
Oh, and by the way, it's our favorite reporter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Race, meet the finger skater.
It's disgraceful.
He's a Dutch skater whose team lost a championship relay race to the Russians.
Pretty sad.
That's the Russian in blue making the "we're number one" gesture, while Dutch skater Xinghee Canet makes a double-barreled single-finger salute.
Flipping him up. That's something I would do.
You would?
No.
I would.
I like how she took it back. That was the reporter covering the story, just interviewing.
That's something I would do. You would? No.
Yeah.
I mean,
like,
no.
Oh no. Hold on. Is this going to be on TV?
If that weren't enough, first the upraised middle fingers, then a pretend kick.
It's very unsportsmanlike. You know, I'm a sportsman. I wouldn't do that. If I lost, I'd shake your man's hand. I'd say congratulations. I hope you do very well.
Oh, you're so dignified.
Yeah, let's all bow down to that guy.
I agree with the Dutch guy. He's like, fuck you, bitch.
Yeah, I mean...
Maybe this is just a cultural thing, but like in America, I don't know. That's just like the good sportsmanship. That's fine for like, you know, some pretend bullshit.
He didn't try to interfere with the race. I mean, he lost. He was just pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like
fine.
he broke the rules or anything.
No.
I mean, maybe he did. Maybe there's some kind of conduct
cares?
rules or some shit, but whatever.
Who cares? It was the finals. He flipped him off. It's done.
You know, but
He's shaking his finger. And here we thought the Dutch tradition was for a little boy to stick his finger in a dike to...
That's so wildly inappropriate.
Yes.
When you really think about the connotation we're thinking.
You're not
about.
like you need to account for modern vernacular. I mean, Jesus.
Exactly. Yeah, this lady does not speak a modern vernacular.
Stop the leak, not raise 2 fingers at a competitor. Is he sorry?
Why would you even? What does that even fucking have to do with anything?
I don't know.
I bite my thumb at you, sir.
I read that story as a child.
I guess I guess I do digressions too, but that was just so bizarre.
Yes.
I need to reference that in my video. I just need to make constant references like the little boy who put his finger in the dike. Today I'm going to tell you the story of the little boy who put his finger right in the dike. Right in the wet hole of the dike.
Okay.
Nothing dirty.
Of course I regret it. It happens out of emotion and not actually conviction. It just sucks.
Skating officials
That guy sounded like
disqualified
Bane.
Canet for his behavior, but that won't prevent him from facing his Russian rival
Do you
next at the
feel in
Olympics in
charge?
Sochi.
Why did you?
Netherlands Broadcasting played old video of the skater, saying he has a history of losing his temper. Kinnett had at
I'm
least
angry.
Yeah.
For those of you, I mean, you guys can't see the video, but he just kicked a door, like,
Yeah, yeah, and he threw some stuff, whatever.
Yeah, like, oh, I have a mild temper.
He's not blowing people away for texting in movie theaters or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much a socially acceptable anger issue.
Sure, he's competitive. He's an athlete. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
New York defender.
It's the spirit of competition. I can understand the guy throwing the fingers.
This guy
Hell
is
yeah,
throwing fingers
a
of his
real
own.
man.
A cab was trying to cut me off.
Some are making comparisons. Sports Grid joked Shinhee Kinnett is Dutch for Richard Sherman.
Don't you ever talk about me!
Sore winners, sore losers. When's the last time you flipped someone off for what?
I might be you because keep me here in the snow.
Genie Mode, CNN.
That guy's awesome.
Wow, that dude kicks ass.
You bitch.
Might be you for keeping me out here in the damn snow. Fucking cold out here. Jesus fucking Christ.
All right, so we've got another one of these weird ass stories where, someone's brain dead, but people are keeping them, they're keeping their body alive. And in this case, it's a pregnant woman in Texas, and it's actually her whole family wants to just let her go, but the hospital is keeping her alive because she has
the baby.
Yes.
Okay.
And the baby is alive, but I guess it has a lot of issues.
Oh, okay.
So, so we'll play it here.
In an emergency court hearing scheduled for this afternoon, Eric Munoz could find out if a judge will grant his wish and force a Texas hospital to disconnect his pregnant wife from ventilators.
We reached a point where, you wish that your wife's body would stop.
Marlise Munoz's family agrees and has said the pregnant mother is brain dead.
So this isn't like some of the other stories that were similar to this, because the husband and her family all agree that this is the right course of action at this point.
Why are there so many disputes about this? It seems like, when the family wants to keep him alive, the hospital wants him dead. Now the family wants him dead. The hospital's nope.
The only time they should be kept alive is if they have some directive where it's like, I want to be kept alive no matter what, and it's their decision, and they outline that before anything like this happens. But any other situation,
I don't care if I'm basically just a rotting corpse that happens to still have a pulse because a machine gives me one.
If that's what they want, whatever. But I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. The family and the husband are both like, she's no longer there, she's gone.
Yeah.
And the hospital is trying to intervene and keep her alive for I don't know what reason.
I think it's because of the baby.
Let's see.
In new court filings, Eric Munoz describes the sad scene inside the intensive care unit of John Peter Smith Hospital in Fort Worth, where Marlise Munoz has been kept since she collapsed of a lung clot on November 26th. Munoz says there's a soulless look in his wife's eyes, and that when I move her hands, her bones crack and her legs are nothing more than dead weight, adding that his wife is nothing more than an empty shell. The case has sparked a passionate debate over end-of-life decisions.
We just don't want the hospital or...
Why does every fucking single thing in America, no matter how obvious it is, have to be some raging debate between, like, we're stupid, hey, we're slightly less stupid, let's have a debate?
Yeah.
Can we just move on, like, a little? Can we just advance somewhat? Just a smidgen, like, can we stop having the euthanasia argument? I think that, pretty much we've, like, anyone who's on the side, anyone who's saying, like, oh, even though you're either brain dead and are no longer really a human being in terms of cognitive function, or even though you're already dying and suffering horribly, we can't kill you because it would be unethical, because it would make our imaginary Sky Daddy very upset.
Yeah. These assholes that are outside of the hospital protesting, holding signs, are fucking assholes. Because don't you think that this woman's husband isn't already struggling enough with the fact that his wife is dead and that his baby is probably going to die?
And yet,
I mean,
like, how are these people any better than, like, the Westboro Baptist Church?
Yeah.
Remember the thing
and
we
yet
saw on
one is a hate group, and
they had
these
on
people
America's
are
Money, like
you know.
back when the country was, basically during the American Revolution, right around that time. It's like mind your business, and like these people just need to mind their own fucking business. Like if this family wants to let this person go, why the fuck do they have to intervene and cause them even more suffering and pain, just so they can just basically take their pet issue and go, oh yeah, see, this is like, so they actually for once get to be in the spotlight, and just they're usually to make these people suffer even more.
It's ego stroking.
Yeah, exactly, just for their own personal gain.
Yeah.
Go to court to forget that there is a child involved.
We don't feel it's right for the state or the hospital to force this on her.
John Peter Smith Hospital officials say they're following Texas law by keeping Munoz on ventilators in hopes of saving the baby's life. The law overrides a woman's end-of-life wishes if she is pregnant. The fetus is now about 22 weeks old, and doctors can still detect a heartbeat. But Eric Munoz's attorneys say the fetus is deformed and suffering from several abnormalities. Munoz's family has said the former paramedic never wanted to be kept on life support. Two experts who helped write the Texas law also argue that if Munoz is brain dead, as the family has said, then the hospital is wrong.
I don't see how we can...
So this is some bullshit Texas law that's basically keeping this woman from having her own wishes
And violates her rights.
respected.
Yeah, and violates her rights completely.
So basically, I mean, what the state of Texas is really saying is, you don't own yourself, you're owned by the state of Texas, and we will determine your destiny in life.
Yeah, this is the total opposite of the other story with the young girl that died from the tonsil surgery. That was in California. The hospital wanted to pull the plug on her, but here in Texas, the hospital is keeping, the woman alive, her body alive,
Keeping her alive to save the life of a deformed fetus that the father has no interest in raising.
Yeah.
That's
ridiculous.
I would almost say horrendous.
Yeah, I mean,
use a provision of the law that talks about treating or not treating a patient in a case where we really don't have a patient.
And Chris, the judge that will be hearing this case, so we're told, could very well make a decision today after hearing arguments for lawyers for the hospital and lawyers for the husband of Marlise Munoz. And those lawyers say they're hopeful that a final decision will be made today.
I wonder if that decision has already been made.
yeah, I don't know. This was a new story that came out earlier today, but I hadn't checked on the status of it. I'm sure we'll hear more about it soon because...
Maybe we'll take a look during the break.
Yeah, and I mean, they seem to cover these types of stories a lot lately.
So,
Actually, I'm just pulling this up right now, and it says, Marlise Munoz case, life support for brain-dead pregnant woman to be removed. So they actually are going to remove it.
I knew it would happen eventually. I just think it's stupid that it became such a huge news story and that there were people protesting. I mean, it doesn't make it any easier on the family. I mean, it's almost like these protesters are acting like they wanted this woman dead anyway, like her family isn't already struggling with something like this. I think it's bullshit.
It's beyond bullshit. And especially, they're doing something so morally reprehensible in the name of we're the good guys. We're out here in public. Don't you see how meticulously we shine our good guy badges in public?
This is interesting, too. It said several experts interviewed by the Associated Press have said the hospital is misapplying the law because Marlise Munoz would be considered legally and medically dead. And interestingly enough, who's defending the hospital is the district attorney for that district. So, I mean, the state is basically representing the hospital. So, I mean, and several legal experts saying they're misapplying the law. So this is a bullshit set of circumstances completely.
Wow.
Our next story here is a story about a guy who was arrested for holding up a sign warning drivers on a road that there was a speed trap down the road.
When Ron Martin was standing on the median of a Texas highway holding a sign reading, "Police ahead," he was absolutely right. There were police ahead. They arrested him and charged him with a misdemeanor violation of holding a sign. In his first court appearance, Martin said he was only trying to help law enforcement by encouraging others to drive slower. The question is, does he have a case? He was basically saying he was a hero. He was no different than a slow down sign.
Yeah, hey, that's actually a pretty good point. Like, what they have signs posted everywhere that tell you to mind your speed. So why would yet another reminder of that be a bad thing.
He was just doing a good service to his community.
It's basically because the cops don't want to just come out and say, like, oh, well, we wanted to catch people so we could make money.
The police have quotas. They have to write a number of tickets, and he was making their job harder, so they punished him. That's exactly what happened.
No, the police don't have quotas.
Well, that's nonsense.
The police don't have
That's
quotas.
total bullshit. Everyone knows the police have quotas.
Absolutely. Which is why during the end of the month, you see way more people getting pulled over.
Oh, of course.
Like, arrested for holding a sign?
Yeah, no, I think
is that a crime? What is
warn.
that?
It's not illegal in many states to warn of a speed trap. I don't know. I consider him a hero. Those speed traps and the people that give you the parking tickets, which I always seem to get, I just can't stand it. It's just, I see this and I think, I wish I had the courage to do something like that.
He's taken his civic responsibility to the next level.
That's
When I
right.
see a cop, I always flash my lights to warn people who are coming that there's a cop.
Really?
See, and I never do because
I like how most of the people on the panel here are in favor of what this guy did. That's kind of refreshing. 'Cause-
Yeah. It's oh, shit. They're actually on the right side.
Yeah, because normally you'll hear fake outrage. you
I
know?
can't believe this
Just
man
call Newt
would...
Gingrich, get him on the show. He'll be the one that'll be
I can't believe this man would undermine the police like that.
Why do you do that? What are you
because it's
talking
the same way. It's the equivalent thing. If you're in the, I grew up in the West. This is a thing we do in the West, maybe. But you flash your lights to oncoming
Yes.
traffic so they know there's a cop behind you.
People have done that for me, and
That's
I
what they're
slowed
doing.
down.
It's not because they think you're cute. They're letting you know there's a cop
So
coming.
you want to warn people who are breaking the law about the potential of getting arrested?
Anderson Cooper. God, you ruin everything.
Puss bag.
Is it just driving you do this for, or also robbery or something?
I don't know if they're speeding or not. I'm
What?
just letting them know.
What a jump.
Shut up.
If you do this for speeding, you might do this for robbery or like maybe even human trafficking. We just don't know where it's going to end.
Yeah, I mean, next thing you know, you're molesting children. God.
They should be
Hey,
aware
child
of their speed.
molester.
That's what it
Hey,
means.
you might want to take that girl into the bushes because there's cops around.
Oh, thanks, man. God.
Yeah, just gotta look out for each other, bro.
Just looking out for me. Thank you.
And there are
Oh, hey,
some
murderer
states where
guy, don't hide the body there. They dredge that lake all the time.
beware of their speed. That's what it means. And there are some states where you're not allowed to flash your lights.
So you really see yourself
I
as
love that about
basically
you.
a large speed limit sign.
I am just
You're
a
not
speed
trying to
trap.
help people avoid getting...
I'm the same as this guy here, and I am
What
not.
I don't understand is like, why are fuzzbusters legal?
Are they?
They are.
Fuzzbuster, that's an old school term. He's talking about police radar detectors. Just for anyone who's never heard the term fuzzbuster, that's like old school. They don't even call cops the fuzz anymore.
Some people do.
Yeah. I think jokingly, normally, but whatever.
Yeah.
Are, as far as I know. I mean, it's a device entirely
Not in every
designed.
state, I'm told.
They're not legal in every state?
You know what this proves? This proves that the only reason you have speeding tickets is to generate revenue for local law
That's
enforcement.
right.
So you
That's
should be able
right.
to go
Amen.
Yeah.
I like her.
No, that you should slow down. But the point is, the cops
I'm really
don't care
I'm
about giving him
fascinated
tickets.
that you are like you try to get other people so that
I
help
would
other
hope
people
somebody
avoid law
would do it for me,
enforcement.
so I don't
People
get a
have done
ticket
it
for
me.
speeding.
They've done that blinking light, and I slow down. But I don't know. As a former prosecutor, I feel icky about doing it.
Now she's
But I
admitting it.
still feel that you're a hero too for doing your heroine for doing it.
A
It's
hero for doing that, really?
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'm
I
curious to
think
know
it's
what people on
great.
Twitter think. Let us know. You tweet us using hashtag.
People on Twitter think you're a moron.
You know, after Nancy Grace, that woman kind of renewed my faith in the fact that at least some prosecutors are not total douchebags. Like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. So, yeah, it looks like we're going to go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back with some more here on the Drunken Peasants podcast.
Break your fucking legs, bitch!
Break a leg, TJ.
We are back on the Drunken Peasants podcast.
Back from a cupcake break.
Yeah.
Cupcakes
Well,
are fucking awesome.
At least for 2/3 of us.
Yeah.
So a super majority.
Super majority.
A super majority.
So the next thing we got here is some woman advocating against abortion rights for rape victims. Which
Finally,
yeah,
a true champion, a hero to stand up and speak for the people.
Exactly.
Let's talk about extremism for a second. Lila, I read or heard that you said that women who are raped should be forced to carry their pregnancies to term. I think we have a clip we're going to roll.
They're going to say, wow, that was a redemptive part of this suffering. That was something that helped to redeem it. But abortion adds more violence to that violent act of rape.
Are you really telling women that they should be forced by the government to carry their rapists' babies?
This is the way that I would answer that, Sally. When a woman is...
I love the setup there. This is the way I would answer your question.
Yeah, instead of just answering the question, this is how I would answer your question.
Yeah.
That makes no sense, but whatever.
This is how I would avoid directly answering your question.
Exactly.
Is raped. That's a horrible injustice against her. The rapist should be held to the fullest extent of the law, liable for that, culpable for that. The woman needs healing and the support of her community. But an abortion doesn't unrape a woman. An abortion...
Wow.
An abortion don't unrape you.
Yeah.
You know that it's true.
Yeah.
Just adds more violence on top of that first violence that she endured. And you look at the stories of someone like Rebecca Kiesling, a woman who was conceived in rape, and she says, should I have received the death penalty for the crimes of my father? I mean, if your father did something bad...
I mean, like, it's really just an issue that will never have a resolution because these people are just determined to view fetuses as if they're completely on the same level of rights as extant people who are on the, cognitively developed, functional members of society.
Not only that, they're saying to someone, okay, specifically women, obviously, that if you were raped, you should now take on the burden of having a child for the rest of your life because even though the rape was a violent act, it's even more violent to kill the fetus.
Exactly.
I think more violent than killing the fetus is destroying a woman's entire life.
And not for a decision she made.
Yeah, even the personal responsibility argument flies out the fucking window in this case.
And like I said, it's another case of conservatives who are always against this big government, this overbearing government. Suddenly, they want to force people to do something.
Yeah, it's funny how that seems to be a reoccurring theme today, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah, like it's just like the one of the biggest ironies is the small government party is the party that's constantly advocating for the government to fuck with you and tell you what to do. Tell you how to conduct yourself, tell you how to have your pregnancy, tell you whether or not you can have an abortion, tell you whether or not you could smoke weed, tell you on what days you can buy alcohol depending on where you live.
Yeah.
In Utah, they can even tell you how much alcohol you can put in your fucking beer.
Yep. All that really does, though, is cause people to drink more beer.
Yeah, and get fatter.
Yeah.
In his life, should you receive the crime? Should you receive the penalty for his crime? That's not fair. I mean, I think all of this comes down to this question. What is the life in the womb? What is the life in the womb? Is it a human life? Is it a life? Science and
Lila,
reason
you
teaches us
are
it's a life.
saying
So
specifically...
we should recognize the human rights of this whole group of people that we've denied rights for, and so we're dismembering them, we're poisoning them, we're ripping them apart. You mentioned, Sally, late-term abortion. I want to address that real quick. Late-term abortion is horrific, but all abortion is horrific. Even in the first trimester, keep in mind, heart's beating at 3.5 weeks.
We're not going to get into that right now. I want to go back and
Why not?
That you're saying you are saying in effect that the rapist.
Why does a beating heart carry so much weight?
Yeah, like when it was that old case of the girl who was in the hospital to get tonsil surgery, who she ended up being in a brain dead state.
Yeah.
Her mom was like, but her heart's still beating.
Yeah.
And now this woman's like, it has a heartbeat.
At
So
3
does
weeks or something.
So does a mouse.
It's a class of people, though, TJ. They
Yeah.
what they do is that's not very specific on that part. You know, she doesn't really have any guidance on what fetuses have contributed to society to propel humanity forward, or burn it down, or take it down, or whatever. She doesn't really elaborate as to why they should be treated as a quote unquote class of people.
Should have more rights than the woman to
Absolutely
decide what
not.
happens to that.
The
happens in that
rapist isn't
number
allowed
one.
to kill that child
But-
either. The rapist isn't allowed to kill anybody.
Isn't it
no one's
great
allowed to kill anybody.
that we live in a country where Lila Rose could decide that she would choose to carry her rapist pregnancy to term, but her version of morality doesn't actually dictate what I can choose to do in that moment. And that's what religious liberty is about. It's about you getting to choose what would be right for you in that circumstance, but I don't get to tell you what to do, and you don't get to tell me.
But at least I
like that.
Yeah. That's the end of it right there.
Yeah, exactly.
The end.
Sensible position. No,
Exactly.
you're wrong.
Yeah. Here she's about to come back.
agree with you until the point where your rights end where another person's rights begin. And there is another life in the womb. When you conceive, you now have a person inside of you. This is a beautiful thing, but this is
That
the
is
question.
what you
This
believe. That is not what the
science and
majority of
reason teaches us this.
Americans
When you
believe.
conceive,
The
there is
good
an
news
individual, unique.
I don't think this is what the majority of Americans believe argument holds any water. Just, you know,
it kind of does in this context, in my opinion, only because
you agree with it.
Well, no, I wouldn't agree with it in every circumstance for sure. But in this circumstance, I agree with it because it involves an issue of personal choice. And you know what she's basically saying is, look, this is your perception. This may not be everyone's perception. It's not even necessarily a matter of it being a majority perception or not. It's just that, you know, this is not just some universally held belief that you're espousing here.
Yeah.
And there's certainly no factual basis for it. So, yeah.
Human being that just needs time and nourishment to grow.
70% of Americans.
Okay, so yeah, that's the end of that one. I found that pretty interesting though, and I found it earlier that someone actually held this position, like this lady that we had in the picture here. So next thing we have is a pretty crazy story. It's about
Is it more pretty or is it more crazy?
I would say crazy.
Okay.
Because the odds of it happening are pretty slim. It was two girls who were looking for
one cup.
The timing when that was perfect.
I had
two
to.
girls, one cup.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It was about two girls who were going to college. They were looking for college roommates. They ended up finding each other on Craigslist. And eventually, after being friends for a while, they found out that they were actually half-sisters because their mothers shared the same sperm donor.
I feel like we need some of that uplifting yet sad-sounding music. You know?
Yeah.
Do we have video
That
on
is
this?
pretty fucking amazing.
Let's play the video.
Yeah,
I want to hear the.
How
I want to
long
hear the
ago did
story.
you find this out?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
January 7th.
And you probably haven't stopped spinning.
The same
since
day we
then.
did our first
well,
show.
There was a
little moment of
Yeah.
Coincidence.
Serendipity.
lull, but then once our school newspaper did an article, it hasn't stopped.
It's gone crazy.
And that was a week.
Well, spill it. How did this
What
happen?
are
How'd
these
you figure it out?
similarities? Tell us this journey.
So basically, it started over the summer. I was trying to find a roommate, and
I
so
think that was back in April.
that was back in April. Yeah. Right after I decided to go to Tulane, I was trying to find a roommate, and I was looking at this survey that Emily had taken and a bunch of other students had taken, and we had so much in common that I decided to email her, Facebook message her, and see if we could be roommates. And she said she actually already had a roommate, but we kept talking because we had a lot in common. And she saw a post that I made on Father's Day that said something like, "Thank you so much, Colombian sperm donor, for the X chromosome." and
Sounds
she,
like a card.
Yeah, exactly. And she messaged me right after I posted that and said, "I don't want to be creepy, but I also have a Colombian sperm donor, and wouldn't that be funny if we were sisters?" So
And
that's
you
kinda
both
where it all
thought at
started.
that point that it couldn't
No,
possibly.
we just ignored it. We went all first semester being like, oh, that girl might be my sister. Ha ha. We're like trying to trick people.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That'd be like, hey, you just meet someone and like, hey, this person's pretty cool. We seem to get on pretty well.
I mean, they have the same hair and share a lot of the same facial features. So
Mannerisms, similar voices.
Yep.
Even really similar ways of speaking.
Yeah. So that is pretty crazy. Obviously, they live at least in the same general location.
Yeah.
To have been attending the same college at the same time.
Yes.
So, yeah. And it's a Colombian sperm donor. So, was it some guy in Colombia that, like, jerked off into a cup and shipped it to the U.S.? I mean, what are they talking about, Colombian sperm donor?
I don't know. I was kind of puzzled by that, too.
What happens with a lot of these places is they request, like, something specific. So they probably actually, like, literally either had someone in mind or they actually requested that.
Yeah.
Like, I want a Colombian sperm donor. Is that what you want, TJ?
I already have it.
You already have it? Oh, okay.
Well, we just thought it was a joke.
Yeah,
Until winter break.
It's a good icebreaker
Then
at
what
parties.
happened?
I guess.
Okay, so winter break, her mom sits down with her and goes, you know what? That's too much coincidence. You should really check that out. And Michaela's like, hey, do you have your number? And I didn't. And I was like, doesn't matter. We're not gonna be sisters
The donor
anyway.
number, right?
The donor
Exactly.
number, right? And so then finally I'm like, you know what? Let me just find it. My mom had access to it, and so I found it and I texted her and she went, no way.
And I was sitting in the dermatologist's office, and it was super quiet in there, and I was by myself, and Emily said she had found the number, and I said, text it to me, and then I texted my mom, and I said, text me my number, and they both texted me at the same time, and it was the same number. And I was just staring at my phone. I didn't know what to do. I think the only way to describe it is mind-blowing, because it's just...
I thought she was joking. I thought that she was teasing me.
Yeah.
Deep down inside, did you somehow think that it could be looking at each other?
Looking
did you
at each
wonder?
other's pictures, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we checked, because
there's something so familiar in her face when I look at her, and obviously I don't know what that is because we don't know what he looks like, but
Yeah,
we
it's
always thought
crazy
we looked
now.
exactly like our moms. But
Yeah, so the porn will be coming out this summer.
They've both accepted $2 million deals apiece to star in this porn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What they don't tell you is they had a lesbian encounter before they knew they were sisters.
Hey, it was college. They were experimenting. It was spring break. What can you do?
Let's move on. I don't. This story is too uplifting and feel good for me to like do anything with.
Yeah, we're all just like, oh, well, that's cool for them.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
What a happy little story. Nice break from all the bullshit.
Play some Fox News clips. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I want to make fun of idiots. I can't make fun of it. I'm just like, oh, that's a nice story.
Yeah, positive story. We're just like, yeah.
Let's move on to Rick Santorum.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
There's some meat on that one.
I actually, ironically enough, I saw a Rick Santorum bumper sticker on a car today. It's the first time I ever actually saw one.
Are you sure they're not a fan of the of actual Santorum? Like,
the mixture,
the cum shit fizz.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that seems like that would actually be more popular.
Yeah.
Yeah,
More people
I
would
think
be
you're right
into
on that one.
having that around.
But I want to come back to the president of Iran talking about.
Oh, by the way,
that's not Santorum.
Well, yeah, this is Gingrich. Let me put up Gingrich first, I guess, since he talks first. Santorum talks later.
Santorum and Gingrich. We're so lucky.
Yeah, this is like
to
double
be
jackpot.
privileged to listen to both of these brilliant men.
Yeah.
And great orators.
The notion of death to America. Here's what he actually said in the campaign. Remember, this is the moderate wing of the dictatorship. He said, saying death to America is easy. We need to express death to America with action. Now, I just want to ask you to sort of interpret for us Americans. How should we interpret somebody who says we're going to express death to America with action? I mean, I understand Stephanie's point that the deal's been cut, although the Iranians say publicly the White House is exaggerating what the deal is, even for the interim. But how do you interpret death to America?
Well, I think, first of all, we have to understand we're not entering into this agreement because
Wait a minute.
we want...
So they're talking about the nuclear agreement with Iran.
Correct.
And wait, so he's being like, I'm not understanding this attack on Obama. Like, look, these people hate us. How can you make a deal with them for them to not have nuclear weapons?
All they have is the term death to America, which, if you understand how different the language of Farsi is and how their slang is different. Actually, I'm going to play something later that explains the term death to America a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, but like even if you say like, okay, these people pose such a threat, then surely any sort of agreement with them to not produce weapons is better than no such agreement.
Well, the Republican line was the sanctions were really working against Iran, and now we have to fucking and like, now they're really hurting. We've got them where we want them, and now taking the deal makes us look bad and weak because the sanctions were working, and we should just kept on doing that. That was basically their argument. Just like stay the course is what they were saying.
Yeah. So Gingrich made that argument, and then there's a Democratic congressman that's going to try and come back at him.
Well, I think, first of all, we have to understand we're not entering into this agreement because we want to have, playtime with Rouhani. We're not looking to be friends with this guy. We're looking to make a deal that's in the strategic interest of the United States and of our crucial allies in the region, including Israel and others. And to enter in that negotiation, if I want to sell my house, I don't necessarily care if the person I'm selling my house to is a jerk. I care whether I'm getting a good deal on selling my house. And right now what we've had is we've entered in a deal where, despite what Senator Santorum said, we've basically given up nothing in return for an upside gain of potentially getting a deal. Now, I think there's no reason for real optimism that that deal is going to come through, but we've also risked almost nothing. The sanctions remain in place. A tiny amount of the discretionary sanctions are there. Even Iran's own assessment is that there will be 1% economic growth. I've tried to run for office with 1% economic growth. It's not a good thing. They feel tremendous pressure. That's why you see the Davos charm offensive. But the fact is they know they're not out of the woods. They're nowhere close to out of the woods on the kind of economic crushing sanctions that are in place, not just by the United States, but by our allies, which is one of the things President Obama has been able to do, is not make this about the U.S. versus Iran, but unite the world in creating that economic pressure. So now we have an upside chance for an absolute game changer in the region if we can pull back that program. And if it falls through, and there's reason to believe it falls through, we're no worse off than we were before. We have all the sanctions, we can ratchet back up the discretionary sanctions, and we continue that program. So to me, this is a pretty good negotiation, and you've given up little and had a lot of upside.
What's your interpretation?
Sensible.
It sounded reasonable to me. I mean, I don't have obviously like the ability to fact check it on the spot.
That does sound pretty reasonable.
But I mean, like, if everything he's saying is true, then that sounds pretty reasonable to me.
Are you guys ready for the bullshit?
Yeah.
He was still keeping his distance, though, like saying, "Well, we don't like this guy either." But
well, why would you though?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, there's not really much to like.
Yeah. This guy is supposed to be the more moderate president of Iran compared to the last guy that they had, but that's
They're all
moderate is pretty
the definition of moderate is probably pretty loose there. Also, I mean, the president is really not the one who rules the country.
Yeah, the president there is like basically like a figurehead.
Yeah, it's their religious leader.
Mm-hmm.
Interpretation of that.
Well, my interpretation of death to America is that they mean it. The Iranians have declared war on the United States and have been in a state of war with the United States since the revolution in 1979. There is nothing in the history of Iran, moderates to conservatives, if you will, or radicals in the government, that gives you any indication that they are willing to back down 1 inch from their desire to get a nuclear weapon. We need to deal with this as the Israelis are dealing with it, as a life and death situation, because it's going to be a life and death situation. Iran with a nuclear weapon very well means the end of the state of Israel, and we aren't taking it that seriously. I don't think we're doing anything that the Israelis would like to see us do, which is actually do something to degrade that capability.
But we have degraded that, right? Bibi Netanyahu put a cartoon bomb up, he drew a red line, and he said, we can't be at this line. This interim deal, even the interim deal, absolutely brings that back. It halts and it brings down the enriched uranium to 20%. It doesn't deal with everything. No interim agreement does. But it absolutely moves back what Netanyahu and Israel said was the existential most urgent threat.
What degrades the capability of the Iranians are doing things to degrade it, like viruses and worms that get into their computer systems, like other types of accidents that occur to people in Iran who happen to be working.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but yeah, that was the end of that clip. Apparently,
that is the most. Rick Santorum is an idiot. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys a question. What country did they catch Osama bin Laden? Catch and kill Osama bin Laden.
Pakistan.
97% Muslim. what do they have? A nuclear weapon.
Yeah, they do.
So, I mean, he's saying we're so worried about the Iranians getting a nuclear weapon. Pakistan, a country where America is fucking hated beyond all reason, has not used it against the state of Israel.
Yeah.
Why not? According to their logic, that should have already happened.
Also, I don't know why we have to protect the state of Israel at all times, especially when the state of Israel has a nuclear armament of its own.
And giving them, in this latest budget, giving them $3 billion.
Yeah, I mean, they have a more than adequate military to deal with any threats in the region.
Yeah.
And they have nuclear strike capabilities. I mean, you know, I don't know what more we can do for them. I don't know why it's our obligation to continue doing things for them to that extent.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to have an alliance with them, but, I mean, they are pretty strong on their own.
Yeah, they have 80 warheads. The U.S. has about 6,700 warheads. So, I mean,
I'm not like some radical, like, anti-Israel kind of guy or anything, but, like, I don't think we need to base our foreign policy about what's in their best interests.
No, I mean...
It's just really strange these conservatives are so concerned with Israel. Like, all the other countries, like, America needs to lead the way, but then it's Israel. What about Israel, though? Israel's like the scared little 5-year-old kid they're trying to...
That's where Jesus came from.
Yeah, Israel is like, they don't give a fuck about all of planet Earth, but like Israel and the Republican Party, they just have like a special little bond.
Yep.
Like, oh, Israel. It's our job to protect Israel.
More Santorum.
More Santorum.
This was former presidential candidate Mike Huckabee today at the RNC meeting.
If the Democrats want to insult the women of America by making them believe that they are helpless without Uncle Sugar coming in and providing for them a prescription each month for birth control because they cannot control their libido or their reproductive system without the help of the government, then so be it.
You wanted stuff to make fun of. There you go. Right there, Mike Huckabee.
Mike Huckabee. Doesn't he host his own show on Fox News?
Yes.
But this is not from his show. This is from some speech he's making.
He was the former governor of Arkansas. He ran for president, and now he has a show on Fox News.
It seems like that's a downward trajectory in your career.
Not a monetary one, though.
No, monetarily, no. But like in terms of power.
Well, that's like what Sarah Palin did. She gave up being governor of Alaska so she could, go on a press tour and sell her book.
Yeah.
I think I like. That's why I admire the scene in that Netflix show,
House of Cards.
House of Cards,
Oh.
where Kevin Spacey is like basically condemning those who would trade power for mere money. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't understand this weird like. I mean, like he obviously doesn't know anything about birth control to begin with. Like there's just like a total absence. He just thinks like that's like something promiscuous sluts take.
Someone who has sex like once every 6 months takes the same amount of birth control as someone who would have sex like once every hour. They all take the same amount. It's
some women
a day.
Some women take it who don't even fucking have sex at all.
It's not like, oh, we're about to have sex, let me take a fucking birth control pill.
Yeah, because it
It's not how it
regulates their
works.
fucking bodily cycles and shit.
Right.
So I mean, what is like? How is this like a big concern? I don't even understand. Like, what is like? He
acts like it's voodoo. He's like, I don't understand what's going on here.
Does he really feel
It's
like
dark magic? It's
like
dark.
is this the fucking great financial burden that America faces? We have to pay for all this damn birth control,
Right.
and if not for that, our country would be thriving economically.
Well, for some reason, these fiscal conservatives are pro-birth. They don't want people to be able to control. They just want people to stop having sex. You know what I mean?
What are they? They're like the overpopulation party. You're not
Right.
allowed to have abortions.
They're like
You're
old
not-
school Catholics, missionary only, and not for enjoyment, only for procreation.
But once you're born, fuck you. You know?
It's what did George Carlin say? He said, "If you're pre-born, you're fine. If you're preschool, you're fucked."
So there's a lot there to deconstruct.
As we just did.
And I was going to ask you who Uncle Sugar was. But my basic question is, do you agree with that sentiment, that it's an insult to women, particularly women who can't afford contraception, for the government to come in and say women should have access to this with no out-of-pocket cost?
Yeah, it would be an insult if the government provided something necessary for health to someone who needed it. That would just, like, the gravest of insults. Hey, sick person, have something to make you well.
There are legitimate medical conditions that have nothing to do with having sex or getting pregnant that birth control is used for women who have irregular menstrual cycles and things like that. So, I mean, that's just another reason why it should be made available to people with medical conditions.
I mean, think about condoms. I mean, condoms don't just exist solely to stop the woman from getting pregnant. I mean, STDs.
Yeah.
HIV. I mean, not HIV, AIDS.
Condoms are a lot cheaper than birth control.
Yeah, chlamydia. I mean, exactly. But I mean, even still, the point, they give away free condoms at a lot of these clinics, and I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is just stupid.
It's just ridiculous.
Let's hear what he has to say.
This is stupid, but let's hear more.
I think what Governor Huckabee was saying is that we've seen an unprecedented assault by the Democrats against Republicans, claiming there was a war on women, when in fact there is Republicans have been tremendous in supporting equality among
I love her
of
skeptical
women in the workplace and a whole host of other places.
Smiling
we
nod.
happen to disagree on reproductive rights and abortion. But on the issue of contraception, I don't think there's a whole lot of disagreement in America. And that's one of the things that's most frustrating, is there isn't a lot of disagreement on access to contraception. Whether the government should pay for it, there is a disagreement.
Do you think language like that, though, helps
I think Governor Huckabee would
restoring your image with women?
I think Governor Huckabee would probably have phrased it differently. Mike speaks off the cuff.
What do you mean he would have phrased? I think he would have phrased it different. That's not how. What? What are you talking about? In some alternate universe, he said something better than that.
They talk about the deterioration of the American family all the time and how.
You know what? Sorry, go ahead.
Children grow up without fathers and stuff like that, but for some reason they want women who may get knocked up to not be able to use birth control and have that potentially happen. And their whole thing is, well, just don't have sex. You're not going to stop people from having sex. That will not stop.
No, probably not anytime soon, unless you're in Japan, apparently. But
Dude, they want us to be medieval peasants. Just like they want us to have, like, basically the free market controls everything. So basically, like, a king or a bunch of rich corporations, and we'll just have to, like, work wherever they tell us, and then like you have to have a baby because abortion is illegal then under their utopian system. And we can't do it for enjoyment. We just have to do it to have babies. And then we have to raise them and buy all their products.
And we have to raise them with a particular set of values that are prescribed for us.
Exactly. That's the Republican vision of America.
Are known to do, and probably would chose different words to communicate that message.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of, like, oh, he would have said something else if that wasn't what he said. But I mean, that's what he said. How do you get around? But I actually kind of think she's full of shit too, just for saying, like, but do you think his language was okay? It's like, well, the language is not what's offensive. The stupidity of the idea is what's offensive.
Do you think his language is okay?
Yeah, but do you think the language he used was all right? Like, who gives a fuck what he said, you bitch? Just it's the idea that's being presented.
Yeah. His language. Yeah.
Watch your mouth,
so
DJ.
Here's a.
How? Take my fucking eyeballs out and turn them around?
We have to put your friend back up on the screen here.
Ugh.
All right. So here's a story by Sean Hannity about how Americans are fleeing blue states and heading to red states.
Oh my God.
They're running. They're running for their lives.
Run for the hills.
They want that sweet tea and lemonade.
Welcome back to Hannity. So after New York Governor Andrew Cuomo revealed his true colors last Friday when he said conservatives like me have no place in the United Socialist state of New York, well, I told the governor I have no problem when the time is right. Next couple of years, I'll be moving out. And one of the states that I and lots of Americans are considering fleeing to where unemployment rate happens to be lower than the national jobless rate, no state income tax, water, warm weather, is beautiful Florida. Joining me now, the governor of the Sunshine State.
I'm going to move to the old people state. Oh, yeah.
He is getting older, so...
Okay, Florida is a fucking shithole police state, riddled with fucking crime and idiocy. And everyone there is a fucking inbred moron.
Yeah, but you know
Vigilante shootings.
Sean Hannity
Not
would be like
everyone.
the mayor of a small town or something.
I want to reel back the everyone
Yeah,
thing, but
yeah, that's taking it a little
Sean
far.
Hannity will live in one of those like privatization towns and be like, everything runs here so great and efficient. I'm the mayor of the town, and I only take $1 salary because of privatization. We've saved so much money, and it's amazing. How much money bet he does? I'm like, how much do you really want to bet he'll do some shit like that in a few years?
This guy flagellates himself and jerks off into pages of Atlas Shrugged in front of a statue of Ayn Rand.
While Paul Ryan fucks him in the ass, and they worship him.
I would say a statue of Ronald Reagan.
Yeah. Reagan.
The great communicator.
Reagan. Scott, Governor, good to see you. How are you?
Sean, come on down. Look at our weather. And you probably have to have a jacket today. We're in short sleeves. The fishing capital of the world.
I caught 20 fish and a shark the last time I was down there. So,
was it fun? Did you have a good time?
Yes, I had a great time. On a serious note, if there can be one here,
the red states are just inherently better.
Wasn't Florida? Didn't Florida go blue in the last presidential election?
Yeah, it did.
It did.
So what's their point here? Okay.
He's fleeing to a red state that voted blue, but it's okay.
It's a purple
It's
state.
still red, though. Still red.
Florida is usually considered a swing state, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Florida and Ohio.
I mean, at least in recent elections,
are the two most valuable swing states in the last few elections.
Yeah. So what is this? What is this red state shit? This isn't even fucking accurate.
Just because people want to go to Disney World.
Why is Fox News letting him go on the air just to suck his own cock? That's what I want to know. How can I get a gig like
this
that?
has provided much bigger opportunity to compare and contrast. As governors like yourself, I've spoken to you. I spoke to the Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina today, the Governor, Lieutenant Governor of Texas. Here you get to see 10% state income tax for me in New York, no state income tax in Florida. Let me put up on the screen. Your unemployment rate when you took office, correct me if I'm wrong, was 11.1%. Now it's down to 6.4%, which is well below the national average.
His predecessor was a Republican, so any stats that happened when he took office are probably under the same policies that he that he is currently using.
His predecessor was a Republican.
Yes.
And also that was closer to 2008, which was the fucking financial collapse.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck? I mean, different states are going to recover at different rates due to a huge number
Florida
of factors
was
and
massively
variables.
hit by the foreclosures. So I mean, of course their economy collapsed at that time, but they're obviously going to try to make it look as favorable as possible when they're making this comparison.
And Florida is not even a red state.
New Jersey, for example, they lost $70 billion in household wealth. What is happening in states that have historically been run by liberals and states where there are no income tax? Why is there such a disparity?
Well, look here. You get to keep your money. You get a big pay raise by coming down here. The weather's better. We love people. We have all
Unless
these
they're
natural
black.
treasures. We've got great lakes, rivers, beaches.
Yeah. Everyone's armed.
And you can shoot someone legally and get away with
I
it.
bet you the sales tax
And
is
then
higher in
become a
Florida,
famous
too.
painter.
Like, keep your money, but you're going to pay more in sales tax on things you buy every day, so how much money are you really saving?
People are moving their businesses here because they can solve their customer needs better. Lower income taxes, less regulation, faster permitting time. All these things mean we're going to have more businesses. Approximately $100 billion of annual income has moved to our state in the last 20 years. $100 billion. That's bigger than our state budget. And
This has nothing to do with what he was saying, but I just think that the state motto of Florida should be shoot a black kid, sell a painting. Because I don't know if you guys know, but George Zimmerman, who's literally famous for shooting an unarmed black teenager, just recently sold a painting for $100,000 and will probably sell another painting for probably around the same.
You know, it's his fanboys that are buying them. It's not like legitimate art collectors. People donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to that guy.
Yeah, I mean, like, hey, America, you want a get-rich-quick scheme? Just shoot a black kid in Florida. That's the express lane to financial success. But this is a great state. Anyway, play the clip.
You know what, Sean? New York State budget is almost double ours for the same number of people.
Yeah.
Why would New Yorkers pay for? Why would they pay for that? Come down here, get a pay raise, and enjoy our great weather.
All right, so I looked at the latest census that we had. Do you know that 3.5 million New Yorkers left New York? And I put up the figure about New Jersey, 70 billion left in a 4-year period in terms of wealth. Why are most of those people, how many people came to Florida in that time? Do you know?
Well, it looks like somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000 people are moving here a year right now.
Wow.
And they're moving their wealth here. It helps our charities. It helps our social services. And they're moving here for a lot of reasons, but lower taxes, less regulation. You can get a job. I have 285,000 job openings in the state right now.
New York kind of sucks. It really does, like, legitimately. In terms of, like, I mean, they have some of the lowest. Scott, you know the statistics a little better than me.
Well, the things they had was like they had some of the highest income inequality in the U.S. was in New York, and some of the lowest social mobility was also in New York.
Like the state overall?
Yes, the state overall.
Yeah, so I mean, like, Florida is a shitty state. New York, I would say, is also a pretty shitty state. The fact is that, like, there's really shitty states that are both red and blue.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to shitty red states. I've been to shitty blue states. I mean, I've been in California, which, I mean, there's cool parts of California, but a lot of California pretty much sucks.
Some parts of California is red too.
Yeah.
Southern California.
I mean, that's another thing. There's not really solid red or blue states either. I mean, there's like a lot of it varies by area, and also what constitutes red in a certain place might not be really what's red in another place or blue in another place.
This whole story, I don't know if maybe...
I mean, like, this is just like, it's really like he's really just literally, not literally, but figuratively to the extent that it might as well be literal. He's sucking his dick on national television.
And he's just jumping on greater demographic trends, which a lot of people are moving, to the southwest of the U.S.
I mean, he's not factoring in any other variables. He's just sitting there like...
Not to mention how many people... Like Holly's grandparents. I mean, they go, to Florida every year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not because of, like, they agree with the politics for some reason. It's like, it's warm. So, I mean, he's not factoring that in. A lot of people are just going there because it's fucking warm and it's winter.
He kept saying that. He was like, you get a pay raise because you don't pay state income taxes and we have nice weather.
Nice weather.
It sure is nice.
The weather.
Isn't that how he talks?
The weather.
Didn't he sound like that?
You have to come and see our weather.
Our weather's good.
What does a political speech sound like from that guy? Citizens of Florida, enjoy yourselves. Come shoot a black kid. Sell a painting.
That is so fucked up.
It's true, though. It's not like it would be fucked up if it just came from my mind, but it's reality.
It is reality.
It's the reality we live in.
It's pretty crazy.
We're not the drunken peasants. The world is the drunken peasant.
Dun, dun, dun.
M. Night Shyamalan twist.
So this next story here is a story from Fox News about how they believe the IRS may be targeting Hollywood's conservatives, the elite group.
All 5 of them.
Yes.
It looks like the IRS is up to their old tricks again. This scandal-plagued agency now accused...
Oh, that IRS, up to their old tricks again.
Always doing something.
Oh, you hateable little scamp.
Accused of targeting some of Hollywood's biggest conservatives, members of a group called Friends of Abe. Could it be a plan to silence some of the president's biggest critics? We are joined right now by Fox News legal analyst Peter Johnson Jr. Peter, it sounds like what we discovered was happening out in the Midwest.
Because millions of people are hanging on the every word of John Voight.
Yeah.
Silence. We must silence John Voight's dissent. He's making the president look bad. Oh no, Kelsey Grammer is being critical of Obama's latest move. And as we all know, Kelsey Grammer wields tremendous influence over the politics of everyday Americans.
What a non-story. I think Fox News just runs so low on material, they have to just really stretch anything they can find.
Thankfully, it gives us plenty of material.
This is the network that covered Obama's preference for Grey Poupon.
Yes.
As though it were like some sign of his Hollywood liberal elitism or something.
Yeah. Exactly. He ordered a fancy condiment.
No, it wasn't Grey Poupon. It was Dijon mustard.
Grey Poupon is Dijon mustard.
But yeah, but it wasn't necessary. He just said Dijon. He didn't specifically ask for that brand.
Exactly.
Yeah, they just add that later, like he's so pretentious.
What a snob.
Sean Hannity actually covered that, like the presidential candidate attempted to order Dijon mustard.
You sound just like him.
And we're supposed to be sitting there there's, I guess, like somewhere in America, someone's like, what? I never even heard of nothing like that.
Sounds like it's French.
Where's that? That almost sounds like African, like jingy.
Freedom fries and freedom toast.
Spear chuggers with their damn Dijons.
It's happening out in the Midwest a couple of months ago.
IRS number 2, big surprise. Kelsey Grammer, John Voight, Gary Sinise, an organization called Friends of Abe, about 1,500 Hollywood conservatives who have gotten together now and say, we want to start it.
So, like, the biggest, most name recognition stars of this conservative
Gary Sinise
is fucking Lieutenant Dan, the dude from Anaconda who most people know from fucking fathering Angelina Jolie,
and Frasier.
And Frasier.
Didn't they make a movie, TJ? What was it called? Like an American Dream?
They made these people all got together and made some fucking stupid movie. Where they had like a Michael Moore-like character that they like
was ruining America. Basically.
They show him the error of his ways, and he becomes like a conservative.
Well, now Obama is fucking with them through their taxes.
It's probably revenge for that fucking movie.
Yep.
A charity. We want to start a 501c3, and we need the federal government's permission through the IRS. And so the IRS is saying now, no, we need your list of members.
So wait, the headline is IRS targeting Hollywood's conservatives, but then when you actually listen to the story, they applied for something and then were turned down. I wouldn't consider that fucking targeting.
Correct.
That's not targeting. That's like if I go to a bar and I fucking like say like, hey, I'll beat the shit out of anyone here, and then someone punches me in the face, and I'm like, he targeted me. I'm being persecuted by this man.
You're like the Pilgrims. You had to go across the ocean to get away from such violence. You're being so persecuted.
These Indians, we keep having to kill them in self-defense. And take their land.
And all the resources.
In self-defense.
Yes, but in self-defense.
In self-defense.
We need access to your password-protected website, and these needs are never asked of any other organization in the United States that wants to form a 501c3. They say they want to engage in good fellowship, not partisan political activity, and it's being held up right now.
It looks like they're following all the rules to try to set this group up, so why would they...
So, is the conspiracy theory here that, like, Obama is sitting in the White House like, don't you dare give 501c3 status to fucking John Voight
and Frasier.
If I hear about that shit, your head will fucking roll.
Don't they basically want to start like a super PAC?
Probably.
Isn't that pretty much what they want to do?
Probably.
They'll fucking go on their commercials together and be like, I'm Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah, because that's how they fund they give it the unlimited funding. They say it's like a charity organization or whatever, and then they are tax exempt as well.
Yeah.
So that's what it sounds like to me. They're trying to form like a conservative Hollywood super PAC.
I don't know if I'd call it a super PAC though, because.
Yeah.
Well, no, they'll get a bunch of rich, conservative donors. It's like there are celebrities associated with this. Like, oh.
I guess Gary Sinise might have some money because he's been on that fucking CSI New York or whatever.
It's because
for
they'll
forever.
pull in the conservative people because, like, when they'll go to these big, donor events like dinners and the meetings at the rich people's houses, they, we ought a couple actors like he's famous for something. Like, yeah, I know him. He is famous, and they donate more money.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of a brilliant idea, but the conspiracy theory here that Fox News is trying to cook up is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
Crack down on them.
Well, I think there's an effort in this country to demonize conservatives. And I think when you see the president give an interview to the New Yorker where he talks about Fox News and Rush Limbaugh,
I just
and
want
he
to
does
say
it every time.
I just want to say that I would never try to demonize conservatives because demons are pretty awesome, and conservatives suck. I'm just saying, like, if you see, like, I'm not saying like I'd want a demon to like appear here and kill us. But if it appeared somewhere else and killed some other people, we'd all be like, damn. I mean, I'm sorry for those dudes, but man, that was badass. But no one really says that. No one really looks at like Rush Limbaugh and like, wow.
Well, according to conservatives, like
he's badass.
You're a liberal, so you are a demon, really.
That's cool.
I think you're a demon, TJ. I think you're gonna like kill someone. Probably conservative. They're probably gonna try to be defending their Second Amendment right, and you're just gonna kill them.
With my pacifism.
Well, yeah, you're gonna have your demon eye lasers or something because you're a demon.
That'll be after the coke takes effect.
Yeah.
Cocaine. His popularity plunges. His popularity is at an all-time low. Obamacare is at an all-time low. So you engage in scapegoating. You engage in demonizing. You engage in vilification of the other side, people that are making statements that you might not hear in other media outlets. And so the question that I ask, have we got a new blacklist era? Is this a new era in which conservatives and middle-of-the-road people have to be afraid for their livelihood?
Surely.
The IRS saying, okay, we'll look at your group. We know you want to do good things, or at least you say you do, but we know you've also met with conservative politicians in the past, like John Boehner and John McCain. And
I mean, like, it's like, I feel like I'm watching news from, like, a fantasy realm.
Exactly.
Like, it's just like, what does this have to do with reality at all?
Nothing. This is all speculation. This is all just them talking out of their asses.
This group has encountered slight resistance from the IRS, one of the most impenetrable and difficult to deal with organizations in history that pretty much everyone has problems with. It's sign of a conspiracy against us. No!
A conspiracy against conservatives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're basically trying to destroy it. You notice he equated conservatives to middle-of-the-road people.
It's Obama using big government to crush his rivals.
We just
Kelsey
normal,
Grammer
everyday folk.
And John Voight.
Yeah, everyday folk, like these Hollywood millionaires.
We're not middle-of-the-road people, TJ, because that's what conservatives are. They're just very middle-of-the-road people. They're not they don't have extreme views at all.
Yeah, well, in the middle of the road, you get hit by the fucking cars.
Exactly.
And you've stood up at rallies with Mitt Romney and John McCain and Sarah Palin. So what are your real motives? Is it charity or is it attacking the White House? And so the IRS is going to look hard at that. And conservatives and liberals of good conscience who respect the Constitution will look at it too. Is this a new era of McCarthyism? Has conservatism...
Wow, McCarthyism. People on the right accusing people barely left of center of McCarthyism.
What is the IRS? This is not even a political organization. This is not even an organization that has, like, its politics are like, we want your fucking money.
Yeah.
That's like that's the IRS's concern.
Pay the government.
Follow these stupid rules and regulations to a T.
And then fill out these confusing forms.
Yeah, try to make this contradictory information make sense. I mean, like, no one likes the IRS. Because this one group of people have had problems with the IRS, we're supposed to infer a fucking giant conspiracy against all conservatives?
Yes.
This is
correct.
This is fucking gibberish. These people are fucking mental fucking midgets.
Isn't the average Fox viewer over 70?
His IQ is below it.
So, I mean, basically, like at nursing homes across the country, this is what's on television. So a bunch of senile people with dementia are like just being forced to watch this and be like, do you agree? I like applesauce.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Become the new communism of the 50s. Will those people be blacklisted, and will they not be able to engage in the charitable activities that they want to engage in because of a government's partisan leanings and their desire to shut them down? I hope that's not true, but we're going to see what the IRS does going forward.
Well, yeah, all great points. I mean,
So
there's not a great point there.
Was he saying that that conservatism could be branded the new communism?
Yeah. Just
Hey, TJ.
What?
Faith in humanity. Boom.
TJ,
Zero.
You remember the movie Good Night and Good Luck?
Good night and get fucked.
And they had Joseph McCarthy, and it was actually him in the movie, like his original speeches, and people were like, this guy's so over the top.
Yeah, in the movie Good Night and Good Luck, they used the actual McCarthy speeches, and some people criticized the movie
That's how I feel when I
for saying
watch Fox News.
The actor who played McCarthy was too over the top and unbelievable. It's like, that was actually McCarthy.
Yeah, I've seen a few McCarthy speeches.
And that's how I feel about this Fox News clip. I watch it, and I'm just like, really?
Yeah.
They really believe this?
This seems like
this isn't a joke.
This seems like like this should be a parody of conservatives on Saturday Night Live, where everyone's like laughing in the studio.
It's Obama's neo-McCarthyism to brand conservatism as the new communism.
And they're saying all this with a straight face and nodding and saying like, "Good point."
Good point.
And there's presumably viewers at home like, "Yeah." Wow. What
We've had
fucking
conservatives on the show
gobbledygook.
who have said to us, not on television, but they go, you know, when I came out and I started talking about this candidate, Hollywood turned their back on me.
Gary Sinise is one of the most charitable men, not only in Hollywood, but in the country, in this city and throughout this country, for our wounded warriors, for our firefighters. He's a patriot and an American. If he wants to give money through an organization, the IRS shouldn't stop him.
Right. You know, if they're going to crack down on one side, they certainly should crack down on the other. It seems like another double standard. Peter Johnson, thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
There's no. They've inferred this giant conspiracy from literally nothing. They've conjured this whole thing out of thin air like a fucking magician.
Obama drinks Coke. He's going to try to shut down Pepsi and any other corporation owned by Pepsi.
He's going to destroy the soft drink industry. He's going to make it all
because
socialist.
All because of his preference for Coke.
Cocaine.
So here's a story done by Brian Kilmeade, who's a fucking idiot from Fox News. We're doing a lot of Fox News stories today because they are just by far the easiest to talk about. So Brian Kilmeade, he's not the smartest guy. He referred to he said that people from like Nordic regions were more pure because they didn't mate with other species. So
I feel like that moment when you're like on a roller coaster and you get to the top and you look down like I didn't think it'd be so far up.
Yeah.
And I'm just like I didn't think it'd be so stupid.
Yeah. So and
now I'm just getting ready to take the plunge into his stupidity.
Yeah. So here we go.
Let's do it.
This is about, does America's security trump your privacy?
Let's see if it does. Fox News will tell you your opinion now.
Have you ever seen this incredible new technology from the U.S. military that can track terrorists and maybe find them while they walk?
Terrorists.
Allowing warfighters to simultaneously detect and engage threats in 360 degrees, including ground targets, sea-skimming anti-ship cruise missiles, unmanned aircraft, and surface-moving targets like swarming boats from up to 550 kilometers away.
Those blimps not only for use in war times, now the military wants to test them over neighborhoods possibly like yours. They're coming to Maryland this year. Are you okay with that, whether you're in Maryland? Are you okay with that if it does come to your state? Joining us right now to debate it, Michael Balboni, former Homeland Security advisor for New York State, and Democratic strategist Ebony Williams. First off, Michael, you don't have a problem with this, I hear.
Well, you have a satellite now. The entire globe is basically mapped out, and you can pick up images with incredible resolution from satellites. In addition to which, news cameras, all within helicopters. You can go to Radio Shack and get a helicopter and put a camera on it, and you can fly all over the place under 400 feet. No, the FAA says nothing about it. Drones are coming. So this is another evolution of the surveillance.
So what exactly is his argument here? That it's just it's already happening so much that we should just be okay with this too?
I don't know.
Everyone pretty much has a smartphone, and you can turn those on without the user knowing and listen to their conversations.
You can go to Radio Shack and buy a toy helicopter with a camera on it.
Oh, they actually build like little mini helicopters where you can already have the cameras built in.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen ones that you can control with a cell phone, and you know they're like drones that you could buy, and they have little helicopter propellers on them, and they have a camera on them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So okay. Well,
and well, the real question is like, I mean, obviously, there are situations where surveillance is, a valid thing to do. I mean, like I think
when there's credibility and intelligence and a threat. I mean, spying on your entire population is just trying to control that population. I mean, it basically means you don't trust your own citizens at all.
Yeah, I mean, like I think, but everyone here can agree that there are some situations where surveillance is okay.
Sure, when there's a credible threat or intelligence to indicate there's a threat, not just
so, I mean, like,
carte blanche.
I mean, so that's why his argument doesn't make any sense to me, because there's no one who says like no surveillance under any circumstance. I mean, if there is, that's a very small percentage of the population.
He's strawmanning his opposition.
I mean, like what we're really saying is like, let's have a discussion about when is this appropriate.
Most of the examples he gave were examples that normal people could use to spy on other people. He didn't really touch on the government spying on people.
Yeah, besides, like, a helicopter flying around, like, is not going to be able to really ascertain much information about you.
And all that's conspicuous.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you go outside and you look up in the sky, you're probably going to see the damn thing. And not only that, I mean, how much is it really going to figure out? I mean, like, the helicopter, someone with a fucking camera with a helicopter is not going to, like, you know your medical history or something.
It'd be much easier to plant a GPS on a person or a vehicle than it would be to track them with a little mini helicopter or drone. That's like a military operation almost. Yeah. Or an intelligence operation. That's just a fucking joke.
It's a more sophistication. Ebony Williams, you're concerned about the Fourth Amendment.
I am, Brian. I'm very concerned about the exact protections that is designed to protect against, which is unreasonable searches and seizures. Look, I appreciate as much as anyone the protection that this surveillance can provide, and we have documented instances where it has been helpful. But look, this is a slippery slope, guys. We cannot allow for this type of surveillance to just have free reign. It has to be a specific, reasonable, articulable suspicion that's involved here. Otherwise, we all kind of become suspects.
Yeah, Michael, we look at it sometime.
I can't believe that's like one of the few times I've ever heard anyone actually able to make like a cogent, decent point on Fox News.
Yeah, they didn't interrupt her, which is very surprising.
Yeah, like usually at this point they'd be like,
"Whoa, whoa, whoa,
whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa, no, 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 no."
What you're about to say is crazy.
Whatever it is, we see where you're going and it's wrong. Stop.
Of a compromise where we have a mini ASTAT Pfizer court.
Well,
where we have to go with permission to go over somebody's house?
The key to all this is that the concept of security and privacy should not be mutually exclusive concepts. We have to put in controls, but here's the problem. How do you regulate one aspect of a type of surveillance? This has been referred to as persistent surveillance, and that has in and of itself been seen as another level that we should be concerned about. The question is, how would you regulate that? What would you say? You can't have this type of thing? Mm-hmm. You can't have it expand too far? You know, what would be the restrictions?
And let's just say, and Ebony, before you weigh in, if you have a monitor there, take a look at this.
How could you possibly regulate? I mean, it's like...
He has his hands up in the air like,
well, oops, I just dropped the baby.
Apparently he's never heard of warrants. He's never heard of reasonable suspicion.
Like, how about that? How about the fucking idea that you actually have something to go on before you spy on someone?
It's
and
like
a warrant.
It's a slam argument. It's like we have to torture people because that's the only way they'll give up the information.
Because how can you I mean, like, I'm all for regulation if someone could possibly figure out how to do it, but it's just impossible.
And only that, more regulation will ruin them. It'll ruin, and then terrorism will happen because they tried to regulate it.
You fucking pass these regulations. Don't be fucking coming to me when you have 9/11 too.
This is how far this thing would track when it goes when it gets deployed in Maryland. south as North Carolina, as far north as Boston, as far west as Lake Erie. So this is a powerful piece of technology. Real quick.
Exactly. That's an expansive scope. That, to his point, you definitely want to narrow that scope. You want to make sure that this is as narrowly tailored as possible to justify the goal, in fact, in mind, and at least subject it to some type of privacy impact assessment so that we can be, aware of that impact. Absolutely.
Michael, would this have helped you in New York?
Yeah, I think it would. All of the information you can get in terms of domain awareness, knowing what's going on, be able to perhaps understand the threats. Remember, this is going over Maryland, Brian, so I'm pretty sure that what this is designed to do is protect Washington and the White House. And then
it's a well-publicized fact that we knew in advance from our intelligence that Osama bin Laden was going to the towers using aircraft, and nothing was done because it just got lost in the din. And I mean, that's why all this fucking fancy technology doesn't really matter, because there's still no way for it to differentiate between two people who are just fucking around in a fucking chat room like, yeah, fucking death to America, blow up the White House, ha ha ha, and someone who's legitimately talking about doing that, who probably wouldn't be doing it on the internet in the first place, and if they did, probably in some kind of coded language.
It also, it's hard to differentiate that. And then some people, I think, may have been joking around about it and then ended up getting snared into it by undercovers online, too. So,
I mean, isn't it amazing that yet again we see the conservatives who are like, the government needs to stay out of your business and, no regulations, but then suddenly it comes to, like, national security, and it's like, oh, we have to spy on everyone. If we don't spy on everyone, what's going to happen? We're all going to be killed by terrorism.
Got to go through the naked
machine.
It
just in what way? In what fucking way are you for less government? The only fucking place you're for less government in is the fucking business sector, not even like the big business sector.
And then they rip apart the Constitution. They say, okay, the Second Amendment is the one we like. The First Amendment is bullshit, and the Fourth Amendment is bullshit, and the Fifth Amendment is also bullshit. Just do away with the Bill of Rights and we'll be good. Except the second one. You got to keep the second one. Keep number 2.
And we're going to change the First Amendment to "Thou shalt always respect the establishment of business, no matter how unethical."
From a military perspective, you could see the justifications.
Yeah, I mean, if you see that plane, remember 9/11, if you saw that it was heading for the Pentagon, would there be anything in place to stop it, especially if you had a heads up rather than an aftermath report? Interesting debate. I don't believe that either one of you are wrong, and nobody could be 100% right, but needs to be talked about. Michael Balboni, Ebony Williams, thanks so much.
Just remember 9/11, remember how scared you were, and base your decisions on that.
Make sure you are very afraid. Make sure you've wet yourself before you make this decision.
All decisions must be made on the basis of fear of terrorists.
Imagine Osama bin Laden is in the next room with a hand grenade, and he's going to burst in and kill you, unless we know what he's going to do before he does it.
Yeah, so I think we're going to take a break, and we'll be back, maybe take some calls. Send us your questions, any questions that have come in before just now.
So your questions on Skype.
Yes, send us your questions on Skype. If you already sent us the question, send it to us again, because we're only going to read new messages.
Yes, and be prepared to ask your question live.
Yes. So, yeah, we'll be back. We're just going to take a quick break.
Oh, and as always, don't call us. We'll call you.
We'll call you.
Yeah, send us your questions. We'll read them all during the break.
The line of every Hollywood casting director. Don't call us. We'll call you.
Yeah. So, send us your questions. We'll read them during the break, and we'll pick the best ones and give those people a call. All right, we're back. We're going to go ahead and place a few calls here. Going to go ahead and call our first victim here. Be prepared to restate your question to TJ.
Ask the mighty TJ.
Ask TJ.
Shall he grant you your heart's desires, or kill you?
Hello.
Jeff.
Hello.
Yes.
Speak your question, good sir.
Okay. So, yesterday my sociology professor was talking about political correctness, how it kind of obscures the truth, makes us all think in an irrational manner, kind of seeing, what would you call it? Seeing everyone kind of as more equal than they are, rather than noticing people for the scum that they really are. Would you agree with this, disagree with this, somewhere in the middle? What?
Ben, you go first.
I think that political correctness overly complicates things, and it's just it's way too sensitive for me. So I try not to be overly politically correct.
Yeah, I have a problem with the idea that other people's sensitivities should be my utmost concern at all times.
It complicates and convolutes social interactions. It makes them so false, and it's like,
And it makes communication with people impossible.
extremely difficult. Oh yeah, of course. I mean, that's what the point I was going to make is like, you're in a situation with someone now, and if someone makes a racial comment, it's like, oh, how do I react to that? If someone makes a comment about gender, well, how do I react to that? And it's like you have to have all these preconditions built into your everyday life now because of political correctness.
And it's like we spend so much time now avoiding sounding racist or sounding sexist or sounding, any of these labels that are, have a negative connotation. And it doesn't really do anything to fight real racism or real sexism. All it does is make people feel like, anyone who complains about that stuff is a joke. And that's not the case. I mean, there's plenty of valid grievances that people have. But when Anita Sarkeesian is the fucking representation of feminism, then feminism is fucking over. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's how oh, this is a dead ideology now. Because all it has left to talk about is inadequate representation in video games.
Yeah, it's a completely irrational representation of what feminism is supposed to be.
Right. And it basically just, it's part of this idea that everyone's feelings have to be protected at all times.
Which is impossible.
Yeah, it's impossible. It's impossible. Your people are going to get hurt feelings. That's part of being a human being. If you're a fat person, you've watched TV and they've made a fat joke and you've been like, damn, I guess I wish I wasn't fat. Who doesn't have that moment where they realize that the joke is on them? Who doesn't have that? How is that not a universal human experience?
This is every day of TJ's life.
Pretty much.
Good question, though. Thanks for the call. We're going to move on. Let's go to...
You're disgusting, TJ. You disgust me.
You disgust me.
You have to talk in a whisper. Hey, TJ.
Hey, Scotty. Doing pretty good, buddy.
Do you want to do the drugs?
The drugs.
All right, so that person didn't answer.
Asshole.
Call the next person.
We're talking in whispers. Like we're like Kurt Russell in Escape from New York. Snake Plissken.
Call the next listener. Call him now.
We'll talk to him like this.
I'm gonna talk to him like this.
Hello. How are you doing?
Hello?
Trivia.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, yeah, I have, well, my question is that,
Ask your question.
as you see by social progress and stuff, as slowly as it's going in this country, we're moving further to the left in a lot of ways. And my biggest fear about that is, and this is pertaining to my question, do you think that we'll get to a point where we're like fringe left wing, like the laws will everything will be considered hate speech, and like porn will be banned because it's offensive to women or stuff like that?
So,
or do you think that people are more...
A dystopian society of political correctness.
You're basically asking if the PC whiny crowd could ever conceivably just control things completely to the point where, you know, you have to watch what you say and do at all times because, you know, it's literally against the law, and there's all these hate speech provisions, and you know you can't make certain jokes, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's basically
I think there is a chance. Yeah, I mean, there is like some credibility to that. I don't think it's like something to say it's totally far-fetched. I mean, look at countries like Sweden, you know, and like a lot of these European countries where it's like you don't really have freedom of speech. You just can't say there's certain things you cannot say. Or in America, you can pretty much say anything you want at this point. I mean, you might get in trouble for it still, but probably not as bad as a lot of other countries in the world where you could be killed or
yeah, I mean,
or
there's
whatever.
There's plenty of countries where there's censorship for the sake of sensitivity. Like there's countries, a lot of countries actually, France is one of them, where you can go to jail for denying the Holocaust. Now, I'm no Holocaust denier. I think that Holocaust deniers are fucking idiots.
Yeah, when there's actual evidence.
Yeah, I mean, the mountains. But I don't think it should be illegal to be a Holocaust denier. I still think that that person should be able to say that opinion. I mean, even if it is an opinion that contradicts fact, because you're not really going to get rid of that person's way of thinking just by imprisoning them. You know,
yeah, definitely agreed. Yeah.
I mean, you know, what really, I think that such a culture could exist, but I think it would implode simply because if you repress everything, I mean, like, I think it would just, you know, in the 1950s, everyone was really repressed. Everything was really we need, you know, we have these very atomic family values on TV, and, you know, it's very patriarchal, and dad is the fucking breadwinner, and mom cleans the house, and the boys get into mischief, and the girls play with their dollies if there's even any fucking girls at all.
And that's why the 60s happened.
And that, you know, and then the 60s were like, hey, fuck that shit. And I think the same thing would happen in this culture. I think people would be like, you need to behave like this, and you need to act like this way. And then eventually a bunch of people would just say, hey, fuck this shit.
It's just human nature to, like, just spring back from repression. I mean, and you just give an example of the 1950s and the 60s. And, like the 80s and the 90s. You know, like, the 90s kind of spawned, this kind of, like, more, like, environmentally friendly movement because the 80s were just so much about decadence and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the yuppie era.
Yeah, the yuppie era.
Yeah, so I hope that answers your question. We're going to move on. Oh. Thank you very much.
All right. So it seems like this system works pretty good.
Why don't you call that guy who tried to call us back after he wasn't able to connect initially?
He was either smoking pan or fapping, so he just couldn't.
He couldn't
answer Skype right away.
He was
shit,
fapping.
My dick's in my hand.
To
I don't know
pictures
what to do.
of pan.
Probably so.
Oh, you want this, don't you?
Nope.
Nope. Whoa. Loud.
What's going on?
Are you in a fishbowl?
Wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy, man.
This is crazy, dude.
Is this real life?
Is this reality? What's
No,
going on?
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy?
Are you in the Twilight Zone?
When are you guys gonna get cameras?
What is a camera?
Ben,
So we can see that.
We're not going to do cameras. We're just going to do audio for now.
Yeah.
That sucks. I like to see your facial expressions.
You wouldn't see them anyway. We've got too much stuff in front of us.
There's like the amount of equipment we have here. We have like soundboards and monitors all over the place, and plus, like, part of the reason we can do this show so loosely is because we don't have to worry about any sort of visual element other than just putting up the pictures for the stories. And really, like, we're trying to give people, the whole point of this is to give people something to listen to. Like, the visual stuff is really just, that's like an afterthought. That's really not important.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it adds to the show.
We're boring. We're just guys sitting on couches, honestly.
Hey, I'm from Florida, the state you're bashing. There are a lot of stupid people here, but you know, that's why it's like so rare to find people like you who are actually free thinkers and
I hate
go
to
against the grind.
I hate to break it to you, but like pretty much everywhere you go, it's mostly stupid people.
And only stupid people are.
Yeah, but it's concentrated in Florida.
Yeah, I would agree with that, having been to Florida numerous times.
It sucks.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the question.
I was asking. The question was, let's say it's a totalitarian government and you can't move. What would you do?
There's a totalitarian government, and we can't move.
Like you can't. They don't let anyone move and shit. You're forced to work for like the major corporations.
I mean, like, what choice do you really have in that? It's like, okay, suicide or compliance, or just like hope you don't get put in the death camps, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, some people would be able to get away. I mean, if we're talking about the United States, I mean, there's so many places in the Canadian border where you could get out of the United States if you needed to,
or even Mexico if it's like a totalitarian regime.
It's such a large
border.
How ironic!
That, it's like, damn, I'm not going to drink the water. You know, like I'm not going to be able to drink the water. I don't know Spanish.
I would keep going to Brazil.
A lot of the
big asses.
The big asses.
A lot of the U.S. border with Mexico is desert, so I'd rather cross like in North Dakota or something like that.
Yeah, no lie.
Montana.
Instead of facing the Mexican cartels.
And they speak English in Canada too, so I'm going to Canada as well. All right, thanks for your question, man.
Bye. Who we got next? Anyone?
Let's call it Jesus.
We got Jesus?
We're going to call it Jesus.
They call me White Data, Black Motor, something, something.
No.
What?
Look at that picture.
His question's interesting, though.
Okay.
Let's call him.
I don't care what his picture looks like. Doom, doom.
What up?
Colonel, this is Snake. Can you hear me?
Hey.
Jesus.
What is that?
What is happening? Stop that.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Your
Couldn't
Skype.
deal with that
If you
anymore.
can't-
I think that might have been the Xbox One or setup or something.
Everyone's
It did
dead.
kind of sound like the Xbox noise.
Get your shit together, callers.
Anyway, do you want to do any more, or are we all?
No, we're done.
All right.
The Drunken Peasants podcast out.
Yes, we are out.
Peace the rep out, TJ.
We'll be back the same time next week.
Boo.
Boo. Bye.